Record. All right. So,
So
yes.
whenever I get into the sun,
Mm-hmm.
like a lot, like I'm Filipino,
Mm-hmm.
and I get dark in the
Yes.
sun because I'm
Yes.
Hawaiian too. I get white patches
You do.
like on my chest.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like I've dropped bleach on my chest, pretty much.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what would cause that, but
Like little tiny dots
mhm.
sometimes, and I get white patches on my face sometimes.
Okay.
Only when I'm out in the sun, and
Yeah. Typically, the sun makes the skin darker. So, is it getting white patches or areas around the white patch that you're talking about? Is the other area getting darker? Is the
yeah,
question.
I mean, I get really, really dark out in the
Mhm.
sun, like,
Right.
but I don't know. I've always gotten like white patches.
Mhm. Well, mention it to your doctor. I don't know if it's a precursor to vitiligo or something like that. So, bring it up at your medical appointment and just, guys, remember that doctors are often, their job is to get us in and get us out, kind of like they're changing your oil. And sometimes you have to make them stop and say, answer this question for me. And
I
any,
mean, I've
any,
done it since I was a kid, and I've just
any doctor who can't stop and answer your question is not a doctor that you want to be going to see. So get in the habit of answering these or asking these questions during appointments. But I really don't know why the skin would get lighter on exposure to the sun. I'm not going to say that it can't. I don't know why.
White people actually get that. It's sun damage. Like you get brown spots
Mm-hmm.
for sun damage, and you can get white spots as well. The white spots are hard to cover up because they're white, but the brown spots you can cover with makeup and such.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But maybe that's it. I don't know.
yeah, I was adopted and by a white family. My white mom used to tell me
Mm-hmm.
that because she used to get them too, and she like wouldn't really let me out in the sun all that much when I was a kid. But now that I'm an adult, I'm always out in the sun.
Mm-hmm. Especially in San Antonio, but except for this week. I don't know what's going on with the weather this week, man, but my hip has been like bothering me like crazy. And it's probably one of the reasons that I'm feeling kind of depressed and angry and all that. I'm just tired of my hip hurting. So anyway, I was looking at this morning, man, when is this stuff going to burn off, man, get us some sun, and maybe these issues would go away. All right, so anyway, dermatology, the study of the integumentary system and why skin conditions can be so debilitating is because people can see your skin conditions. Have y'all ever seen somebody with a burn, especially on the face? You had to look. I mean, it's not PC, so you try to sneak and look, and don't think for a second that they don't know you're sneaking and looking. They're probably sitting there the whole time going, yeah, he's looking. Mm-hmm, he's looking. Yeah. It's just your business is out there, and people don't like that. Some people are just too sensitive to their appearance, like Michael Jackson. So anyway, skin conditions can be quite debilitating. If you think that, and some people make this mistake when they choose disciplines in healthcare. I want to work in dermatology. Why? Because dermatology will be I don't have to worry about heart attacks and all this other stuff. I just go and deal with the skin. Guys, have you ever seen a burn that needs to be debrided? In other words, the debris needs to be pulled out of a burn. That is a nasty procedure. Okay. You'll be popping pimples, cysts. Remember we talked about those, get them in the earlobe. We'll be seeing some more today. By the way, just prepare yourself. We'll be seeing a cyst drainage today. And these are things that you deal with in dermatology. You're also going to deal with little Johnny, whose stepdaddy poured battery acid on him and burned his skin. And I've seen the pictures of that kid, y'all. He was horribly burned. He was sleeping in the bed, and his stepdad walked in and just poured battery acid on him because he was jealous of the relationship that the mother and the son had. So anyway, that is why these conditions, dermatology might be a pretty dramatic place to work, where you're looking at conditions of people's skin. And you'll not only be worrying about the condition itself, but now you have to address the psychology that goes along with damage to the skin. Was anybody in high school or grade school, especially high school, were you the, what we used to call in school, the pizza face kid? Pimples everywhere. Now imagine finding a date for the prom. Or, hey, will you go out with me when you've got all these unpopped pimples on your face? And you go, why don't they just pop those things? Because their dermatologist is telling them not to. So you got an 18-year-old girl or 16-year-old girl who's got a pimple on the face and needs to go out on a date. What is the temptation to just go on and pop that thing? But their dermatologist is treating them systemically with medication and telling them not to pop it. Just walk around with it there and everybody looking at it.
Don't you get scars when you pop them?
That's the reason dermatologists tell you not to. It can lead to scar. So anyway, that is dermatology, the integumentary system, and the word parts that are important there. Let's mention them again, pronounce them again. Dermato, dermo, cutaneo, and integumento. Cutaneo might be used in a term like subcutaneous, below the skin. We give a lot of injections that way. Go on and give this injection subcutaneous. Give it right below the skin. All right, the purpose of the skin is, first of all, protection. It provides us protection against sun exposure or the UV rays of the sun. It's also our first line of immune defense. We have immune cells in our skin. They're not very strong cells, but they're there to prevent bacteria from entering through cuts and things like that. So it's our first line of defense against protection, or first line of defense against infection. The skin also regulates our body temperature. When we talked about the blood, we mentioned that if a light skin or white person goes out in the cold, their face gets red. That's the skin pumping more blood into the face to kind of warm the tissues right there. So it regulates our body temperature that way. And the skin also provides sensation for us. How important is the sense of touch? Yeah. Sometimes I'll tell my wife, I'll walk in and she'll be sitting watching TV or whatever, and I'll walk in and stick my hand under her shirt. And she'll say, "What? Hey, I just want some skin contact. I mean, I'm not trying to feel you up or anything. I just want to feel your skin." Skin contact is very important for us with your babies. Now, it's not difficult for women, especially when you breastfeed, but for men, when you have a new baby, do you take the baby's clothes off, take your shirt off, and lay back on the bed and just get skin-to-skin contact? That's how that's how it promotes bonding with the father and the baby, is getting skin to skin. It's very important for us. And when we put on clothes, we lose some of that sensation. So that sensation of just being touched by another person. And that's why social distancing and things like that is an issue for people. We're not that type. First thing you do when you meet another person is you touch them, don't you? You shake their hand. How do you do? Okay. So anyway, and by the way, that's one of the new norms. Remember they talk about, somebody asked, when is everything gonna get back to normal? And the answer was, we need to consider what's normal now. And handshaking might be a thing of the past. I mean, even the toughest guys, the Italian gangsters from back in the hood, what do you do when you meet your partner, you meet your homie? What's up, Holmes? You get close and you touch the person. Gangsters get right up and cheek to cheek with each other. Yeah. So anyway, touch is very important for us. And the sense of sensation is a really, really essential part of being human. And the skin provides sensation for us, that sense of touch. And not only touch, but also pain, pressure, temperature, and so on. All right, so the skin is arranged in 3 layers. Now, in school, I learned 3 layers, But there's an argument, and a good argument, against there being only 2 layers of the skin. But in school, I learned 3, so I teach 3. And the layers are listed there for you. Know them, be able to distinguish them from outside to inside, or excuse me, be able to label them from outside to inside or inside to outside. Either way it comes at you. And the outer layer is called the epidermis. Remember, the word parts you're going to give are going to clue you in here. Epi means upon. So this layer sits upon the other layers of the skin. It's the outer layer, the epidermis. The middle layer is called the dermis. A sample test question would be, name the layer below the dermis. It would be subcutaneous. Name the layer below the epidermis. It would be the dermis. On which layer of the skin does the epidermis sit? The epidermis sits on the dermis. So epi means upon, epidermis. And then the next layer down is called the dermis, the middle layer. The lower layer is called subcutaneous. Now, y'all know we mentioned that cutaneous means skin. So the word subcutaneous literally means below the skin. And that's the argument against this actually being a layer of the skin. How can it be a layer of the skin if it sits below the skin? So that's the argument for just 2 layers. But since I learned 3, I teach 3. So there they are, the epidermis, the dermis, and the subcutaneous layer. The subcutaneous is also known as hypodermis. And that part about fat cells, we'll discuss it when we talk about the subcutaneous layer. Matter of fact, let me take that out, because here we should just be mentioning the layers. The epidermis, the dermis, and the subcutaneous layer. Again, know which one is outer, which one is middle, which one is inner. Pronounce them again: epidermis, dermis, subcutaneous, below the skin. All right, so we're going to start with the outer layer, the epidermis, and what's contained out there. First of all, there are no real structures out here. The structures of the skin, like your hair follicles, sweat glands, pain receptors, those are all located in the dermis. They come through the dermis, through the epidermis, but they're located in the dermis, the next layer down. But out here in the epidermis, we're going to find some important cells and substances that are produced for us in our epidermis, the outer layer of our skin. And the first one we're going to talk about is called a melanocyte. A couple ways to pronounce that: melanocyte or melanocyte, whichever one you're more comfortable with. Melanocyte, melanocyte. And we know that this is a cell because of the suffix cyte, which means cell. So these particular cells produce a substance called melano or melanin. Melano means black, cyto means cell. So the word would be translated literally to black cells. But what they do is they produce the substance that makes our skin cells darker. So they produce dark pigment for us. Why is dark pigment so important? It protects us from the harmful rays of the sun, the ones we call the ultraviolet rays. And get this written down, and then we'll move on to the whiteboard to illustrate that. Vitiligo and albinism we'll be talking about here as we go. So the melanocytes produce the dark pigment. Now, everybody has, the same number of melanocytes. It's not like black folks have more melanocytes, but we do have more melanin. Our cells, our melanocytes are more active. And they become active as a result of genetics. All right. So let's go to the whiteboard and talk about this for a minute. Okay. This would be the surface of your skin. The sun produces harmful rays that can penetrate our skin and lead to those skin cancers you hear about. But the darker your skin, the more of those UV rays will be reflected away from the skin. Now, y'all have heard that dark colors absorb light, right? Like dark clothes, you don't wear a black shirt out on a sunny day, you're going to be hot. However, black shirt does not contain melanin. Skin does. So those UV rays get reflected away like that. If your skin is lighter, those same rays penetrate right through and lead to those skin cancers you hear about all the time. So does this mean that black people don't get skin cancer? No, but we don't get it as often. The lighter your skin, the more prone you are to develop a skin cancer if you're exposed to the sun quite a bit. And remember too that tanning booths have been linked to skin cancer finally.
My first love, his mom, she has skin cancer because she was always in the tanning salons, like horrible addiction. And she ended up with those pot splotches. She has splotches all over her skin now.
Now, back in when they first developed those things, they were really popular in the 90s. And there was some question as to whether or not they increased the risk of skin cancer. Today, that question has been answered. They do. So tanning booths also put these rays into your skin like that, leading to the skin cancers. Now, this is also where I stop and talk for, let me continue with this, and then we will go to what I was just thinking about. Okay. Now, when those rays penetrate the skin, they're actually going to warm you up some. So if you ever see, for example, a white person on the ski slopes in short sleeves, in some cases, even in bathing suits, and you go, man, they gotta be cold. Not as cold as you would think, as long as the sun's out, because their skin will absorb all of the heat associated with those rays. Now, you take a dark-skinned person and put them on the same ski slope, they're going to be freezing because they don't get the benefit of that heat, and it'll be a little bit colder. So white folks will always be a little bit warmer as long as the sun is out. Black folks, even on a cold day, if the sun is out, it'll be a little bit warmer. Black folks are reflecting all of those light rays, and as a result, their skin doesn't get warmed by them. Okay, so why do we have black folks and white folks in the first place? Remember, God made us all, right? Or we all evolved from the same animal. So why don't we all look the same? Why are there some people who are darker than others? It has to do with this thing right here. Sad little circle. I gotta redo that, y'all. I'm sorry. It has to do with this thing that we call planet Earth. Now, there's a part of our planet that faces the sun all the time. It's right across here. What does that line represent? You might know
The equator.
And the average temperature on the equator is 120 degrees per day. And they get about 300 days per year of sunlight. It's hot on that line, y'all. So as you are exposed to this heat, some things are going to happen to your body. Number one, your skin is going to get darker to reflect all of that heat away from you. Secondly, your hair is going to get shorter. Why would your hair get shorter? Okay, ladies, long hair. What's the first?
Shrinkage? It fries it.
Nope.
Oh.
Ladies, what's the first thing you do with your hair on a hot day?
Put it up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, it breaks it.
Pick it up. Pick it up.
The breakage. Oh,
No,
yeah.
it doesn't break. It doesn't break. It doesn't grow long in these people. because the airflow across the back of your neck and across your ears helps to keep you cooler. So on a hot day, first thing you do is put your hair up. That became natural in people who live along the equator. And instead of growing out of their head long, their hair started growing and curling right away to keep it cool across their neck and across their ears. Does anybody know how we dissipate heat from the body when we get really hot? How do we get that heat off of us?
Sweat.
Through our nose.
Oh, our nose.
Through our nose. So if you live on the equator, you want to pass more air through your nose. So your nose will be wider. Y'all see how I got a black man's nose? Nose will be wider. We dissipate heat through our lips. So the more surface area on your lips, the more heat you dissipate. So your lips will be thicker. Darker skin, shorter hair, wider nose, thicker lips. Who did I just describe? Black folks. Now, if you move up here towards the pole, it's going to be colder as you move in that direction. These people will have longer hair to cover their ears and cover their neck so they'll be warmer. You ever know, that the Navy was the last service to outlaw beards? Because it's cold on that water. And you're out there sailing through the Aegean Sea, going up through all these oceans, and it's cold. And the hair on the face help keep the face warm. If you ever see movies about people up on the pole doing research or whatever, they almost always have beards. It helps keep their face warm. And the Navy finally had to outlaw beards. Anybody know why? It has to do with something we do today. All of us today. Masks. If you're wearing a mask over a beard, the beard keeps the mask from touching your skin. And anything out here will be pulled in underneath the mask. So masks don't work when you have a beard. So as a result, the Navy had to outlaw beards. It had to do with the gas mask, not these things, but the gas mask. The gas mask has to make a seal to your face, and it can't do that if you're wearing a beard. So the Navy had to finally outlaw beards. But it was initially, they hung on to them for so long because that hair helped the face stay warm. So if you move up towards the poles, those people are going to evolve long hair that covers their ears and covers their neck. Their nose will be narrower, so they don't lose a lot of heat through their nose. Their lips will be thinner, so they don't lose a lot of heat through their lips. So our characteristics that we associate with African American or African people or Black folks and white folks have to do with where you evolved on this globe, nearer the equator or further away from it. As we move away from the equator, and by the way, I believe life started on the equator. So the initial people were probably Black folks and moved away from the equator. And as they did that, the body adapted to the new environments that they were moving into. Remember what I said at the beginning about it would be pretty short-sighted of a God that doesn't give us the ability to change in response to our environments, or evolve, if you will. So if God didn't want us to evolve, he wouldn't have given us that quality or ability.
Hey, sir.
Yes.
I was taught somewhere, I forgot where, because we're talking about, of course, the paintings we have of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
But Jesus was more like that. I can't say the Mexican, but more like the Indian color.
Mm-hmm.
Adam and Eve were, because they're the skin that can only make all black and all white.
Right.
Their DNA is in that skin.
Right.
In other words, all white cannot make a black, and black cannot make a white. But that medium skin color can make an all white and all black baby.
Remember too, Jesus was described as having hair like the hair
Wool.
of a sheep. Correct.
I believe that. I believe he was
But
darker.
they
Yes.
still believe in making him in all these paintings with this long flowing hair. That meant that Jesus was born up near the pole rather than in the Middle East.
Yeah.
The Middle East, y'all, is near enough the equator that they get a lot of heat. Okay. Now, what country does the equator pass through? Continent-wise, or what continent, excuse me? Africa.
Africa. Oh.
Hey, these people live right on the equator, 120 degrees, 300 days a year. What's their skin going to be like? Black. And I'm not talking dark, I'm talking black, y'all. You ever seen your average Nigerian or Ethiopian? Compare them to your average African American. Those people's skin are dark because they're bombarded with those rays throughout their entire life. You go down to the tip of Africa, and by the way, that's called Central Africa. You go down to the tip, Southern Africa, you're going to see brown folks. And if you go up to Northern Africa, you're going to find Egypt, Israel, again, brown folks. But right across the equator, those people are going to have dark, dark skin. And that's where we get black folks from. Now, what if we took the blondest, blue-eyedest person from Scandinavia and dropped that family on the equator and left them there for generations? What would their kids be looking like 100 years from now? Dark-skinned people. They will adapt to fit that environment. Now, I just mentioned, what is the skin tone of the average African American? Brownish. Do you think that the people that they brought from the equator as slaves, you think those people were brown skinned? Those were black folks. But we've been in the United States for more than 400 years. Guess what happened? Change environments, your attributes start to change as well. So technically, black folks are getting lighter because we don't live on the equator anymore. So it's proof that we do change. But you get your average Nigerian or Ethiopian, and those people are dark-skinned folks, y'all. Short hair. You know any black girl or black women with long hair? Yeah, in the United States, but not in Africa. So we're changing because our environment has changed. We're put in an area now where we're not seeing 120 degrees a day and 300 days a year. So we do change, we do evolve. Remember I said that people who don't believe in evolution, they're not looking in the right place. I had one person argue once, well, if evolution was true, then wouldn't we see like half monkey, half people? No, not at the same time, because evolution takes thousands and thousands of years. So it's going to be a gradual change. You're not going to have somebody go to bed at night as a primate and wake up as a human. So you're not going to see the two at the same time. It takes a gradual change over thousands of years. So anyway, people who don't believe in evolution, they're just not looking in the right place. Okay, there's proof everywhere. All right, so that's why the dark skin, the thicker lips, the wider nose. It's all about the heat, y'all. Dissipating heat through our nose and our lips, curling the hair so it doesn't cover the back of the neck, so we get good airflow. All of us helping to help these people that live in that area tolerate that 120 degrees a day. All right. So that's why we have lighter skin, darker skin, and everything in between. It depends on where you evolved or where your people evolved. You know, they had an interesting point in history is that Adolf Hitler was trying to prove that the Aryan race was the first race on the planet. They were superior, and they had a whole lot of research into that. But Hitler shut down the research because it was sending them in the wrong direction. They were actually starting to connect the Aryan race to Genghis Khan, Kublai Khan. I remember those folks, or ever heard of those folks? The more Indian Asian type of person. And Hitler shut them down. And matter of fact, had a couple of researchers executed. There is no way we came from Mongols. So anyway, and he stopped it right away. Soon as they presented that part, Hitler, ears closed, got up, walked out the room, told them other guys, listen, those people, and they actually executed a couple of them because the research was taking them in the wrong direction, the direction he didn't want to go. So anyway, that is a little bit about our skin color and the melanocytes. If we put you in an area hot, your melanocytes are going to become more active. Well, not just hot, but also bright sun. The melanocytes are going to become more active and producing dark pigment for us. Now, there are two conditions associated with the melanocytes. One we've seen already, vitiligo, and I'll pull it back up because we weren't recording the first time we saw it. Vitiligo. This is a person with either dark or light skin. It happens to white folks too, but it looks more dramatic on black folks or black folks, is they lose the pigment in their skin. It's autoimmune. Their cells are attacking their melanocytes and destroying them. Their immune cells are attacking and destroying their melanocytes. Remember that that self-antigen, the marker that says, I belong to this body? For some reason, the one in their melanocytes has become unrecognizable by their immune system. It's like an ID badge that you can't read. So the immune system is attacking and destroying their melanocytes, and they lose pigment in those areas of the skin. Now, remember what I told you? I told you what melanin does for us. So if this lady goes out into the sun, those areas of the skin that are absent pigment are going to burn very quickly. So they have to make sure they keep these areas covered up when they're out in the sun. So if you ever see somebody in San Antonio on one of those 110-degree days and they have long sleeves on, wonder what is wrong with them. It might be this. They might have vitiligo. This will burn very quickly. And so the areas around the face as well. So when Michael Jackson was covering his face with a mask, it might have been because it was sunny that day. And not wanting sunburn in the areas that are absent pigment. And by the way, do African American or do black folks burn in the sun? Do black folks get sunburned? Yeah. Anybody can sunburn. However, it won't happen as quickly. My first sunburn was on the top of my head when I was in my 30s. Y'all, we used to run around outside when I was a kid. We ran around, no shirts on, Today, that'd be all just so un-PC. But back in the day, we spent the entire day running around the neighborhood with no shirt on. I never got sunburned until I came down here. To y'all's heat. Burned the top of my head in Fiesta, Texas. I've been treating sunburns in the emergency room for years. Just go, oh, you poor thing, you poor baby, until I got my first one. And I was like, ooh. We was in the water park at Fiesta, Texas. I was like, ooh. And my wife's like, what's wrong? I was like, ooh. She said, oh, look, you got a sunburn on top of your head. I was like, ooh. She said, stop touching it. I was like, well, ooh, yeah, that hurt. Ooh, yeah. So that's a sunburn. And my first one, I was in my mid to late 30s. So anyway, black folks get sunburned too. It just takes a little bit longer for it to happen. Okay. So what is her name? Winnie Harlow. I should remember that. But look at some of the others. You see how dramatic this can be? And you're an entertainer like Michael Jackson. Walking out, they want you to walk out on stage like this. I'm not going out there looking like this. So what did they do? They tried to take those dark patches and make them lighter so that his skin tone matched. So it's not about Michael Jackson wanting to be white. It was about evening the skin tone so he didn't come out in public looking like this. And it's not just the face, it happens to the entire body eventually. So that is vitiligo. In white folks, it's not as dramatic, but you can still see it. It just looks like something happened to their skin. Let me pull it back up and try to find a.
So you said his nose collapsed. So that's what they were giving him his medicine through?
No, he was having surgeries on his nose.
Oh, okay.
Because he didn't like his nose. So anyway, he had so many that the cartilage actually eventually just broke down. So he had a prosthesis right there on the tip of his nose. Now this is a white person, and you can see it. And this is even dramatic for a white person. It's usually not this dramatic, but you can see that white folks have pigment in their skin. So a person that we refer to as being white doesn't mean they're actually white. It means we're trying to make a designation between this person and that person over there, therefore white and black. But you see that white folks have pigment, but it's still that loss of pigment still shows up. And I guess in this picture, it looks really dramatic. In other white folks that I've seen with vitiligo, it just didn't look this dramatic. But you can see in this person, it does. You can find another one. This is what I'm used to seeing, stuff like this. Just a little plotch, Okay, yeah, it looked like something might have happened right there. So it's not as dramatic in some cases. You can see it on the lips. It's not as dramatic in some cases, but in others, obviously, it is like that. So anyway, that will be on your assessment. Loss of pigment in areas of the skin, autoimmune. Your cells are doing it to them. Now, the other condition associated with the melanocytes or melanin are those people who have no pigment at all. Their skin has, they have those white, they're just white everywhere. So they have no pigment, therefore we refer to them as being albino, absence of pigment in the skin. Now I have these two words here, hair and iris, because the color of our hair and the color of our eyes are also determined by the amount of melanin in your skin. And that's why you don't see a lot of black folks being born with blonde hair or blue eyes. They have so much melanin in the skin that the hair shaft will come out dark. The iris will be dark. So the melanin is not just affecting our skin tone, but also the color of our hair and the color of our eyes.
Mr. Mahone, have you seen the white girl that took injections of melanin? And she her skin just kept getting darker. She just kept taking the injections until she was like super, like, you have to look it up. It's awesome. It's crazy. Like
I've
she's
seen that story.
with like being dark brown. And
Didn't she end up doing an Instagram model?
Trying to be black, but she wasn't. She just likes dark skin.
She was like addicted to tanning, isn't that girl? And then she went and did the shots.
And then she started doing the shots. Yeah.
Yeah, I read on that. That was crazy.
Let's see what that brings up.
Yeah, there she is. The girl in the pink with the giant boobs. Yes.
Oh, mercy. And what was her goal?
To be dark. She wanted to be super, super dark. She wanted to be the darkest person. And she gets even darker than that.
That is.
Those are her melanin injections. See, that's how she ended up. Do you see how dark she is? And everybody kept saying she was trying to be black.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
how can you explain it?
Right?
Because you can also tell that she had procedures on her lips.
Yep.
Like some reconstructive, yep.
Some injections.
What? Anyway, it doesn't surprise me to see that somebody has done this, but it surprises me as how odd this person looks. Anyway, because the features aren't associated with dark skin. Her nose is way too narrow.
Yep.
That's why people look at me sometimes and they just don't know what I am, because I have a black man's nose, but a white man's lips.
Yeah.
And people look at me like, what are you? Okay. So anyway, we tend to associate those features with a particular skin tone. And that's why she probably looks weird here, because these features don't match those that you expect to see on a black person. This is a white person, looks like a white person who painted their face.
Yep.
And that's why, have you ever seen a movie called Silver Streak? It's a comedy, and one of the actors, white guy, what's his name? Oh, I can't remember his name, but he's trying to get past the police. So the other actors, Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder, was the white guy, and Richard Pryor, the black guy. So Richard Pryor says, you know what, we're going to make you look like a black man. So they put brown shoe polish on his face. The features.
I remember that.
I don't care what your
She
skin.
reminds me of that character that Martin plays, Shanae, or
Exactly.
So anyway, yeah, that is, you know,
It's insane.
this is my first time seeing this, but that is just weird, y'all. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about this is a problem itself, but the skin tone is just weird, man. Anyway, how do you kiss somebody?
I know, right?
You got to lean into it. Anyway, so yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's my first time seeing that. So anyway, now I'm going to bring up something that is being researched today, because it's not supposed to happen this way. It's in the Solomon Islands, and these are black kids being born with blonde hair. It's not supposed to happen like that. And people are wondering, why is this happening to these kids?
My ex-husband, he's black, and he has really, really red hair, like very red
So
hair.
red hair is common, and so is hazel eyes. Like, if you ever see Smokey Robinson's eyes, it's like, dude, you look like a ghost.
Yeah.
Because he just has these really hazel eyes. But these kids are not just black or blonde hair, but some of these kids are being born with blue eyes.
I've seen that.
How is this happening?
and where's this at again?
In the Solomon Islands?
I don't know, but it's beautiful.
I don't know where in the world the Solomon Islands are, but that's their name, the Solomon Islands, like King Solomon, the Solomon Islands. And why is this happening to these kids? They don't know. Researchers are approaching this island from all over the world, because as far as we know, this is not supposed to happen. If you have dark skin, the melanin in the skin is not going to let your hair grow out this color.
Even in mixed relationships?
No. Now that would be an explanation. But like me, why don't I have blonde hair? Because I have so much melanin in my skin that when the hair shaft comes out, it's being colored by the melanin.
Okay. So what if you would have gotten with another mixed person? So say
would be progressively lighter skinned.
right.
Yeah.
And then your child gets with another mix.
Now remember, it doesn't matter what your skin tone is if you're raising this kid on the equator. But because we're in the United States, our kids might get progressively lighter. Okay. So, you know, or progressively darker. I have a daughter in St. Louis, That child is so black, it's crazy. Matter of fact, when they first showed me the picture, I was in basic training when she was born. I got a picture in the mail of this baby that was lighter than me. And that kind of caught me off guard because her mama is what we called back in the neighborhood. I don't know how PC. Now, remember, we weren't PC back then. But her mom is what we call blue black. I mean, just really, really dark skinned. Okay? But she was born light skinned. This is not my daughter, but she was born light skinned. But by the time I got home from basic training, which was only 6 weeks, that child was so dark, I started to wonder if she was mine. I'm like, really? This is not the picture y'all sent me. So the influences will not always be a mix, if you will. But what I hated on TV was a TV show called The Jeffersons. Anybody ever seen that show? Matter of fact, I'm usually not sitting at the computer when I teach this. So let's see if we can find what was the family's name upstairs from the Jeffersons? The white man and the black woman. Oh, shoot, I can't remember their name.
I know what you're talking about. The brother was all white. The
Right.
sister was like, and that looked more real. But all of a sudden, they brought this white boy in to try to say that's the brother.
So somebody else has seen that show where this black man and white woman, or this white man and black woman, these two, they were a couple. And their children, they had 2 children, a boy and a girl. The boy was white, blonde hair, blue eyes, da da da, and the girl was black. It doesn't happen that way. Okay? And that TV show just offended me, man, when I saw it. I'm like, really? That's just offensive. Those people would look like me. And now, have y'all noticed that in television? It's now PC to show black and white couples. You see it all the time now in TV commercials, all through TV. And they're at least getting children to play the roles that are my complexion. I can't remember the one, but I was just so like elated. I was like, babe, come here, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. They got it, man, look, they got it right. It was a white man, a black woman, and the kid was my complexion in the commercial. And I'm like, babe, they finally have figured it out. Got away from this Jefferson's crap, where a white man and a black woman can produce a white kid with blonde hair and blue eyes. It's not going to happen that way. So anyway, I couldn't find it, but there you go. So now I still wanted to stay there because I want to now talk about, again, somebody believed that somebody went down there and did some research on these folks. Now, I don't know how close this is to Brazil. Does anybody know? Is the Solomon Islands near Brazil? It's somewhere down there where folks are producing darker skin. Okay. But in Brazil is where they found Heinrich, what was his name? Was it Himmler? It was Hitler's doctor guy, the one who did all the research on the master race and creating the perfect Aryan. He lived down there for years, and they say he continued his research in Brazil. That's probably where they get the boys from Brazil. In Brazil, in one area of Brazil, the rate of twins are like quadruple that in the rest of the country, and all the twins that are being born are boys. So they call them the boys from Brazil. And they believe that Himmler, or whatever that doctor's name was, I don't want to be saying the wrong name, Hitler's doctor. He's the one that came up with the final solution. That ain't him. That's not him. What is this? Gilbert Morel, as German doctor known for acting as Adolf Hitler's personal physician. Let's see, Dr. Final solution.
Theodore Morel.
That's what it says right there, Morel. That's not the name I'm remembering.
No.
The doctor, Auschwitz Nazi, final solution. They finally caught him and put him in the Auschwitz prison. That's him right there. Anyway, it's not saying his name anyway.
Big and borrow enough money to pay the fishermen
Is that him?
as much as we could to get everybody on board.
I don't know. I don't
Once
know
in
what that's
neutral
about.
Sweden, the Danish Jews would get.
But anyway, they believe that doctor continued his research in the United States or down in Brazil. And that might be where the boys of Brazil, why that's happening. So if he was anywhere, there, is it Goebbels? Joseph Goebbels. But anyway, it's not really important. But that might be, somebody believed that that might be what's happening in those kids. That maybe he did some research down there. And that's why people from all over the world are converging on that island to find out why, from the Solomon Islands, to find out why those kids are being born like that. Is it natural or is it a gene manipulation of some type? So, whoa, oh, that's a baby doll. Yeah. So let's look at now, then, the albino, a person who has no pigment in their skin.
Mr. Mahone, do you remember that movie Powder?
Yes?
That was the first time I ever saw the albino.
Right. Now, these people have absolutely no pigment in their skin. Yeah. And you see that they are powder white. They are white. Their hair can be white. Doesn't have to be, but it can be white like this person. Or what you think of as the regular blonde color. But now, remember that our cultural identity has more to do with, has more than just our eye color, okay? Or our skin color, excuse me. Black folks have more than just dark skin. So an albino still has cultural identity because of the other features. Ask y'all, is this person right here, this is an albino, is this a white person or a black person?
A white man.
It's a white man. You can tell by the facial features.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to this guy right here.
I would say it's black dude.
Is that a black guy or a white guy?
I said
black
black
man.
dude.
Black guy, Mexican or Hispanic, something, but this is not a white man because look at the nose, how wide the nose is.
Yeah.
Look at the hair and how it grows. The thickness of the lips. This is a black person. We had a albino at our school growing up, and you could tell that was a black kid, man. So it's more than just our skin culture, our skin color that gives us our cultural identity. It's our features as well. So now albino people, they have to be real careful about being out in the sun. Because remember, they get no protection in their skin and they will burn very quickly, up to second-degree burns, sunburns. So they're cautious about exposing their skin to the sun. As a result, some of these people live their lives at night. They work at night, they hang out at night, and then they sleep all day. So they don't have to be out in the sun. Imagine an albino person in San Antonio, Texas, with the average temperature being 100 degrees a day. And they're walking out in the summertime in long sleeves, floppy hats that cover their eyes. Because remember too, that if your eye color is lighter, more light rays are going to pass through the eye. So they'll have on the dark shades and the gloves on their hand and all that to help from getting sunburned. All right, so anyway, there's another black guy. That's albino. Now, some albinos people, they have no pigment in their irises. As a result, their eyes will appear red like that. That's not the camera. You know, it's not like red eye from the camera. If it was, it'd only be right in the middle. So why is this person's eyes red? Because their irises have no pigment and you can see the blood flow through them. So there's no such thing as red pigment for the eyes. you're seeing the blood flow since their irises have no pigment. So some albinos will have the red eyes like that. I think that's a doctored up picture somewhere. So anyway, and that's why their eyes appear red. You can see blood flow through their irises and make their irises look red to everybody. But there's no red eye color. All right, so remember the melanocyte, melanin also determines the color of our hair and the irises, making them almost very, very rare to see a black person with blue eyes or blonde hair. It usually doesn't happen that way. All right, so know those conditions. From this slide, you should know that melanocytes produce the dark pigment, that vitiligo is when you lose pigment, and albinism is when you have no pigment at all. So vitiligo is somebody who starts out with skin pigment and loses it, and albino is somebody who has no skin pigment. They have no melanocytes, or their melanocytes aren't producing any skin pigment for them. And this happens to other animals as well. That term albino alligator, have y'all ever heard that term before? Isn't there like a group or something like that out there that calls themselves albino alligator or something? But anyway, there really are albino alligators. And snakes, horses. Think about an albino zebra. How could you tell they're a zebra? Because they still have stripes. Some are darker than others, but they have no real pigment. So anyway, those three items from here. Melanocytes produce dark pigment. Vitiligo is loss of pigment, and albinism is absence of pigment. They don't have any at all. They never did. So that's the melanocytes and what they do and the conditions that they lead to. I guess I can take this out from over here. Put this over there. All right. The next substance we're going to talk about out there in our skin, or types of cells, are called keratinocytes. And they produce a substance called keratin. And keratin waterproofs our skin. Now, these are the cells that we're constantly shedding, if you've ever heard that before, that we leave skin cells everywhere we go. Now, so we do shed our skin just like a snake. However, we don't do it all at one time. Imagine if we did. If you get up from the chair and there'd be like a skin suit of you hanging on the chair, like a long snake skin or whatever. We do it, over about 120 days or so. So if you don't like your partner, give it 120 days. Be a different person, different skin. So I tell my wife, yeah, in 120 days, yeah, I'll be different. So don't worry about it. So we're always shedding skin cells. That's called exfoliate. And if you've ever been to your spa, then you know they can exfoliate those cells for you by putting that sticky mask on and pulling off the surface cells, what they call the dead cells. They pull them off, and that's exfoliation. And you know what, guys? I was just kind of watching TV. I was waiting on something to come on TV on the weekend. It was early, so they still had all those ad things on the TV. I do that early in the morning. And they had the airbrush. Y'all are painting your face. I mean, literally now. I mean, putting on makeup, okay. These ladies are literally spray painting their face. And they go, don't I look good? Yeah, you do, but you don't, but you're not you. Okay. You're one you take home, you go to bed that night, ooh, girl, I wake up in the morning like, what the hell are you? Because all the spray paint that rubbed off on the pillow or whatever. Yeah.
You tell them, sir. You tell them. They say men are liars, but then who do we meet?
Yeah. to me,
They're hiding their face already.
Now, to me, that's like catfishing, right? Isn't that like catfish, when you pretend to be somebody else online? Isn't that what that is? Because you go to the club, oh, girl, you look good. Get home, it's like, what happened to you? All the airbrush came off. I'm gonna start airbrushing, man. Anyway, make myself look young and handsome and da 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 da. Be like, hey, girl, get home. Wait to see all this. Be like, oh, dude, what happened to you? So anyway, probably the best example of that was this movie called Hollywood Shuffle, produced by Robert Townsend. It's his first movie, produced it on his own. And it's funny, y'all. They take this girl home, and she's like, boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom. I mean, good looking. Get home, and he's like, okay, dot, dot, dot. And the first thing she does is she takes off her eyebrows or something, or eyelashes. And like, oh, okay, fake eyelashes, okay. And then she takes off her wig. Oh, okay, wig. And then they just keep going, man. She takes off the fake boobs and then the fake butt. And they just got to get crazy with it. So she takes off a leg and so it just keeps going.
Oh,
She
hell
just
no.
keeps taking stuff off, man. Making fun of y'all and the spray paint and all this other mess. I don't know about anything else, but I tell y'all this, and I learned this a long time ago. When you go to the pool or to the water, if you're with a black woman and she says, don't get my hair wet, they mean that shit. Don't get my hair wet. I ain't playing with you. And so what do? Splash the water. Now, see, I told you, see, I'm getting out. Get out the pool and all that, because you know how much I spent on my hair and da, 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 da. Don't get my hair wet. They're dead serious about that. Don't get my hair wet. So anyway, keratin waterproofs the skin. But we're always shedding those cells, and that shedding is called exfoliate. And sometimes we do an exfoliative biopsy, where we want to take skin cells right off the surface. We exfoliate them with a piece of, looks like a tongue depressor. It's wood, but the curve in it makes it match the cervix. So this spatula, this is the cervix. They scrape it along the cervix and take off cells from the surface. We send those down to the lab and they do a Papa Nicolau test or pap smear. Ever heard of that before? Pap smear. You ask most people in healthcare and they think that PAP, P-A-P, is an acronym for something, but actually it's an abbreviation for Papa Nicolau. And good luck spelling that word. Even I had to look it up. And most people don't even know that the word exists. They're just so used to saying pap smear. So if you know Papa Nicolau, you know more than most people practicing out there right now. Because even in school, they weren't taught that word. It was just pap smear. So they're taking surface cells right off the surface of the cervix and sending those down to see if they're cancerous. It's an exfoliative biopsy, just taking the surface cells. So from this slide, know that keratin waterproofs the skin. Okay, so I want to go to the whiteboard for just a minute to illustrate something that our epidermis actually has 5 layers of cells stacked on top of each other like that. This is the one that falls off. This is a living cell down here with a nucleus in it. As it moves up to the next level, the nucleus dies off. At the next level, it starts to absorb keratin. More and more, till you get up to here, and that cell right there, that's completely filled with keratin, that's your keratinocyte, the cells that are completely filled with keratin. And those are the ones that waterproof us. So they start out as living cells in the base with a nucleus. The nucleus dies, starts to absorb keratin more and more. By the time it gets out here, the cell is completely filled with keratin. And that is the waterproofing. And that cell right there is the one that's called the keratinocyte. And eventually this cell falls off. This one moves up and takes its place. Constantly pushing up like this. New cell at the bottom, top cell falls off. New cell at the bottom, top cell falls off. Just constantly pushing up like And if you take deeper anatomy, like Anatomy 2, those type classes, you'll actually name all 5 of those layers. Yeah. Anyway, a little much for us. We only need to get that deep into it. So those are your keratinocytes, and they waterproof us. The next substance out in our skin is not a cell. It's a chemical or a substance in our skin that we call elastin. And based on its name, what do you think it does? Elasticity allows our skin to stretch. So that our skin is more like, I don't know, cloth than paper. Okay? And as you get older, have less and less of this stuff. So older people can bump into a table and tear their skin like paper, where yours bump into the same table and your skin moves with it. They bump into a table and it tears the skin right there. So keep that in mind, the sensitivity or the fragileness of the skin on older people, especially when you're doing things like taking their blood pressure. How many of y'all had your blood pressure done before? How tightly does that thing squeeze on your arm? It gets to the point right before where you're starting to go, wait a minute, okay, and then they start taking the pressure.
Your hand gets tingly.
Now imagine that on the arm of an 80-year-old. You can damage their skin. So that's one time that if a person is in their 80-ish or so, you might take their blood pressure over their shirt. Now that's contraindicated in most people or in most cases, but an older person, you think it might damage their skin, don't take their blood pressure over their shirt and don't put the blood pressure cuff directly on their skin. And that's one of the reasons. It can cause bruising and things like that in the person's skin. So elastin provides elasticity for our skin.
Or just one time, I remember I had stopped somebody from falling, and my reaction was just grab them. Mm-hmm. But when I grabbed her, and she fell mm-hmm. Into the wheelchair mm-hmm. because I grabbed her from far, and she didn't hit the floor. But mm-hmm. where I grabbed her, her skin like kind of peeled, broke it broke my heart. Like I was like, man, but just because, like you say, it doesn't stretch no more.
Yeah.
It was an ugly feeling.
Yeah, and remember too, guys, when we are handling our older patients, so not just taking their blood pressure, but helping them get up out of bed, stuff like that, again, can cause issues in their skin, from tearing to bruising and things like that. Because their skin can be quite fragile. Oh man, I don't have no paper. I was going to do attendance right now, but I need to do a printout before I do that. So let's go on and take a break. It's 9:30. We've been going at it for an hour and a half. Let's come back a quarter till, and we'll continue and get the attendance done. I want to, oh, look, you can stop the recording. I know you can do that. Okay, so we had been talking about the elastin and how it provides elasticity to our skin, and making sure, again, that we are paying attention to these types of things when we are doing things like vital signs, helping a patient stand up. You know, the old police grab where you grab them by the back of the arm and help them to stand, the pressure that we use on the skin of our older clients. Okay. The last thing in the epidermis we want to talk about then is collagen. Y'all have heard of that before. People think it gives our skin structure. Okay? If they inject some collagen into your skin, it can make your lips thicker or your cheeks more pronounced or whatever with collagen injections. But collagen is known as skin glue. So it also can help your skin from sagging. Yeah, you poor thing. Yeah. Y'all get old, y'all be sagging like Mr. Mahone. So it's known as skin glue. And what it does is it keeps our epidermis attached to the dermis. So because of this stuff in there, in between them, the epidermis doesn't pull away. Does anybody know what would happen if your epidermis did pull away from your dermis, the lower layer? You've all had it happen before, probably, or most of us.
A scab?
Yep. If this is your, let's get a in color. All right, I'm writing with the wrong end. Okay. If this is your dermis with the epidermis on top, if the epidermis pulls away, what do we call that right there?
A blister?
A blister. And then you start to collect fluid under there. It's called a blister. Right? Okay. Or in medical terms, a bulla is a medical term for blister. So collagen helps to keep that from happening. But also, if you're getting collagen injections for somebody, it's probably to smooth out some of the wrinkles and get their dermis a little better attached to the skin, if you will. So you don't have a lot of wrinkles and stuff. So while I'm there, I do want to talk about this stuff right here. Botox. Anybody know what that does? Botox injections, what do they do for you? Why do you get them?
Fills in.
Paralyzes your muscles.
People do it for the wrinkles. And the stuff is literally called botulinum toxin. Botox, botulinum toxin. It paralyzes the muscles of the face so that the wrinkles drop out because the muscle right there is paralyzed. But guess what else you lose?
Yeah.
Movements of the face like that.
Yeah.
And that's why they say Botox can change your Botox injections can change your facial expressions, because there you start to lose the ability to like raise the cheek and stuff like that because you paralyze the muscles right there. So people are getting toxin injected into their face, literally Botox, botulinum toxin. All right. So anyway, whoever came up with that treatment, you know what, was not a doctor. Or not a doctor of medicine.
Awesome though, it really works.
They were a doctor, obviously, because they're in the research. I hope you're a doctor, but they weren't a doctor of medicine. Okay. So anyway, that's what happens when the epidermis pulls away from the dermis. You end up with a blister or a bulla right there. Now, some people, believe it or not, their body doesn't produce collagen, and as a result, their skin comes off all the time. And of course, I have a video. Where is it? The count, on the army. Really? Where is my, oh, there it is. Now this is a long video, but I'm gonna zip to the part that I want y'all to see. It's a documentary, and this person has a condition called dystrophic epidermolysis bullosa. Their skin comes off constantly because they have no skin glue. The person in the video describes it as Velcro without the hooks, nothing to hold it in place, and the skin just slides on. If you grab them by the arm, their skin slides, and it causes blisters right there. It's usually right in the middle or so. Yeah, hey, I'm getting pretty good at finding this section.
Hold the door for you. I don't want to say, oh, fuck off. I'll manage myself.
I didn't mean to say that. But anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about who he is and all that after you see this clip.
Johnny's only had one day in his life without bandages. 75% of his body is covered in sores.
What's the cycle of the bandage changes?
Once a week, you mean? On the back. The other one's just as really needed. Oh,
Those are all sores on top of his head. Scabs from healing
Even
sores.
after 36 years, you need to get your head around the severe discomfort and pain. Just gently, slowly, gently.
Something feels stuck down here.
Due to the constant scarring, the skin has closed up over Johnny's hands and feet, making them useless.
That's it, once you're inside, I'm fine.
I got hold of everything. I think so. I think that's an extra piece.
I didn't. What are you doing? Oh, you pulled on that one back. Shit, sorry, just on this.
I sometimes look back and wonder how I've managed, to be quite honest, but you do. If you work day by day, it's a job you get on and you just get it done. If you can imagine picking up a newborn baby to be fed, to be changed, and every time you pick that baby up, you're blistering it.
God, that's oh. So I was asked one time if I would carry on with a birth, knowing that an EB child would be born. And I said, no, I would terminate. It's not just a disabled child that's being born. It's disabling a whole family.
There's now an intrauterine prenatal test for EB, so abortion is an option. It wasn't available when Johnny was born.
Yes, had I been in a more modern situation and found myself pregnant, I would have aborted the baby and not felt guilty about it as some people do, having seen what these children have to go through. I'd rather Johnny had been born physically all right, healthy, but no, I'm not sorry he was born. Basically, the person I feel more sorry for was Simon, because Simon missed out on a lot. He had a sibling, but he wasn't able to roll around with him and fight with him and play with him in the way two normal, healthy boys would be able to. Sorry, when am I not in the right place? Johnny had to be looked after. He had to be cared for, which I've done as best I could. Whether it was right or wrong, I don't know, but I've done what I felt was my best. And I couldn't do any more. Johnny's father never came to terms with it. I think maybe we felt it was sort of a slight on his manhood. I don't know. Well, I mean, we're each carrying the gene, so we were each as responsible as the other.
Okay, so that is dystrophic epidermolysis bullosa. Right there, dystrophic epidermolysis bullosa. Dystrophic, bad development. Epidermis, breakdown, causing blisters, bullosa. So dystrophic, bad development. Epidermis, breakdown, blisters. Dystrophic epidermolysis bullosa. Now that is a full video that you can see on YouTube called The Man Whose Skin Fell Off. I like it because I used to use it in my class that I taught on death and dying and the dignity of, people with terminal illness and how to, deal with it and talk to folks sometimes. This video was filmed because he had developed terminal skin cancer and they followed him for the last year of his life. He's planning his funeral and planning, designing the coffin and what music they're going to play at my funeral. He's doing his bucket list, visiting the Prime Minister. They're from England, visiting the Prime Minister and going on a airplane, like a glider ride and all this stuff, just doing his bucket list. And he dies at the end of the video. The video crew is there at the moment he dies. and they then attend the funeral and so on. So it's actually a really good video for dignity in our last year, or when you have a terminal illness, that type of stuff. Now, I did like one other thing that this video points out. Did you hear his mother talking? And she said, I wish that Johnny would have been born. And she almost said normal, but then she stopped herself and said physically okay. We try to get away from using the word abnormal, saying that one thing is normal. And obviously, she's been dealing with this for 35 years. He's 35 years old, by the way. She's been dealing with that for 35 years. So she has trained herself to avoid using the word normal. Because when you say one thing is normal, then you're saying that the other thing is abnormal. So now imagine her and caring for him for 35 years. Bandage changes every day, and so on. He can't use his hands. He can't use his feet. The constant skin coming off and growing and coming off and growing has made the hands unusable and feet. So he really needs full 100% attendance. He does have another attendant that works with him all day. So his mother is not 24/7, so there you go. And the name of the video is you can type either one, the man or the boy whose skin fell off. And you'll see that video on YouTube. It's a 45-minute documentary, and it's actually really good when you're looking at death and dying. So that's somebody who's born without collagen. If you did you hear his mother say, imagine picking up a newborn baby, and every time you do, you're blistering it? Yeah. Every time you touch their skin and slide, the skin comes right off, and a blister develops right there. And that constant led to the skin cancer. And so he was dying from terminal skin cancer. His voice sounded like that because he had scarring on his vocal cords as well. So anyway, that is collagen, known as skin glue, an example of the people out there who don't have it. Dystrophic epidermolysis bullosa. So those are the structures located in our epidermis. As a quick review, the melanocytes producing melanin and that dark pigment for us. The keratinocytes filling with keratin and thereby waterproofing our skin. The elastin that provides elasticity for our skin. And the collagen, also known as skin glue. So those cells and substances out there in our epidermis. The next layer down is called the dermis. And in the dermis, we're going to find all the associated structures of the skin. And they're listed right there. Our nails, sweat glands, hair follicles, sebaceous glands, and nerve endings. And we'll talk about each one. But from this slide, I want you to take these two word parts right here. Onycho, and unguo, both meaning nail. Onycho and unguo, both mean nail. Examples of that would be onychomycosis, nail fungus, or subungual, below the nail. So both those word parts means nails, onycho and unguo. And there they are. Oh, I didn't see those. Onycho and subungual. Remember, so I should trust my slides. So y'all see that I teach the same way every time. I didn't see those words down there. So anyway, we'll be talking about the nails, then the sweat glands, our hair follicles, sebaceous glands. You can get this now, but we'll be talking about it a little bit later as well. Our sebaceous glands secrete an oily substance called sebum. We'll see it in a later slide as well, but you can get it now if you want. So the nails, sweat glands, hair follicles, and nerve endings, all located in the dermis. And we're going to start with the nails. What do they do for us? They protect the end of our fingers. Back before, we started cleaning our nails, washing our hands, bathing on a regular basis, that type of stuff, our nails were probably a lot thicker than they are. Today, nails are quite fragile. If you scratch somebody with your nails, it'll probably break the nail. But back in the day, they were probably more like claws. where you could really get in and get a chunk out of somebody. And by the way, if somebody's bothering you, man, make sure you scratch them somewhere and get that evidence under your nails. That's one of the first things we do in rape investigations is we take the lady and or male who ever been raped, and we trim the nails to see if they caught any of the perpetrator underneath their nails. So make sure you do that. If rape is inevitable, did y'all hear the person that said that if rape is inevitable, you might as well enjoy it? Yeah, I might like to meet this idiot in a dark alley or in a room, just 5 minutes with this fool. Literally said, if rape is inevitable, you might as well just lay back and enjoy it. What? But if rape is inevitable, scratch that person. Get that evidence under your nails. All right, so they protect the end of our fingers. And we have some issues with our nails over time. And all of these are issues that happen with the nails. And I'm going to be pulling up pictures of these, so prepare yourself. All right. And let's start with, I need to pull this back over here. Grab that, get it back over here where everybody can see it. Let's close down a couple of these. And let's start with, what was the first one I saw? I think it was clubbing. Nail clubbing. I shouldn't have put clubbing. Oh, look, there it is, nail clubbing. You know what's going to come up if I just leave clubbing right there. Hey, check me out. Da, da, da. So let's do it right. Nail clubbing. All right. And it can be pretty dramatic looking. Let's find a good one. Look at those nails. That's nail clubbing. It's indicative of heart disease. Decreased circulation to the fingertips, and the fingertips start to bulb up like a club that you hit somebody with. So that's why they called it clubbing. That's a good one. What about these? The nails are bulbous at the end like that. That's nail clubbing. Again, indicative of heart. Whoa. Indicative of heart disease. Look at that thing, man. Jeez. So that's nail clubbing. And that's sometimes why the doctor wants to see your fingers. Let me see your hands. That's me every time. All right, give me your hands. There you go, doc. And they want to look at my fingertips. Another way that you can do it is take two fingers and put them together like that and see how much space is between them. See where I'm doing that at right there? Yeah. And see how much space is between the nails. I'm constantly doing this, y'all. Looking at my nails to see if I'm starting clubbing out there at the tips of my nails. Right. So that's clubbing. Now, the opposite of clubbing is called spoon nail, where the nails do the opposite. Instead of bulbing out, they dip in like that. Also indicative of heart disease.
You said also in what?
Indicative of heart disease. Indicate heart
Okay.
disease. So that is clubbing. The nails are dipping in like that. There's spoon clubbing again, but then spoon nail, the nail is dipping in rather than bulbing out like that. So those are the first two. What are the other two? Here we go, y'all. Are you ready for this? Onychomycosis, nail fungus. I'll say the word again when we get to the, when we go back to the PowerPoint. And let's find a good one to look at. Nail fungus. Oh man, there's usually a really good one in here and it's not coming up right now. There you go. Hey, I hope you don't have a foot fetish. You want to suck on them toes? I don't think so. I'm like, no, home. No, I don't think so, girl. Look, I love you, but no, I'm not. No, I'm sorry. That's nail fungus, and you see it can get pretty dramatic. Now, What is a good treatment for nail fungus, you think? You can go get
I heard putting soaking your foot in bleach water, and then I also heard Listerine.
in bleach. I'd
Not
probably,
not
I heard
solid bleach.
vinegar.
I'd,
Like a cap full of bleach.
okay, all right. I would use Epsom salt or other, acidic type of things, because what's going to happen this year is you need the acid to destroy the fungus. So anything that's acidic, including, guess what? Urine.
Ew.
Yeah, pee on your feet.
I heard of that too.
hmm That's what any football coach will tell you. When you get foot fungus, boy, just go in the bathroom, pee on your feet. It'll go away. Yeah. And it's just a couple of days in that case. Now, with Lotrimin and those other things, it might take weeks. And if you take a systemic pill, it might take months, as opposed to just peeing on your feet. What about, and we didn't mention this yesterday, by the way, when we did the urinary system, but what can you take at home for a UTI?
Cranberry pills,
Cranberry juice.
AZOs.
Yes. So cranberry juice is acidic. So it would work on foot fungus as well. So anyway, that is onychomycosis. Myco means fungus. The word right there. Onycho is nail, myco is fungus. Osis is condition. Condition of nail fungus. Onychomycosis. Condition of nail fungus. Okay. So that's nail fungus. And again, you're going to need some acidic type of treatment to treat that, unless you're taking the pills. Now, what about, has anybody ever had one of these things? An ingrown toenail. Now, these bad boys are horrible. I've never had one, but I've taken a few of them off. Where the nail is actually growing into the tissues at the side of the foot. I want to see that picture. Anyway, let's move on. Oh, can't see that one. It's not very big, but it's still small. Anyway, try to find one that's big enough to make everybody go, ooh. That's an ingrown toenail. You see why that toe is so red? It's infected. And you can actually see the pus running out of there. It carries bacteria in with it when it grows into the tissues. It carries all that bacteria and it gets infected right there. That's an ingrown toenail. And what causes them most often, oh, there's a good one. Look at that bad boy. And look how infected that toe is. Now imagine putting your shoe on and trying to walk with that thing. They don't. They come in barefoot, walking just on their heel. You don't want this thing to even touch the floor. It's so painful. There's a good one. This is one I've been looking for right here. This one right here. See that? Boom, grows right in like that and carries all that bacteria in with it. I'm surprised this isn't more infected than it is, with all the bacteria that had to be carried in there like that. So,
Have you ever watched Tobro?
watch what?
Tobro?
No. What is that?
Oh, it's on YouTube. Tobro. He like removes ingrowns all the time. It's pretty interesting.
Oh, okay. Well, nah. One thing that you're going to find yourself doing is you're going to stop watching shows like that. Because who wants to do it all day and then go home and watch it on TV? Because I never watch emergency room dramas or anything like that, or any type of medical dramas. Who wants to do it all day for 8 hours and go home and look at somebody else doing it on TV? So anyway, that's an ingrown toenail. So what do we do for that bad boy? We've got to cut that curved section out of there. So if this is the toenail, and let's make that the toe. It's a funky looking toe, but that's okay. These lines out. Now what we're going to do is the part where it curves in and goes into the toe, we're going to go right above that and we're going to cut the nail like this. all the way up into the nail bed, utilizing a thing that we call a beaver blade. A beaver blade has the cutting surface on the end right there. So rather than slice with it, you put this at the edge of the nail and you push it straight back, all the way up into the nail bed, and slice that nail completely in half like that. Now, there are some gadgets out there today, guys, I don't know how well they work, but they're designed to take off ingrown toenails. And I'm sure if somebody designed them for that, I'm sure they probably work. But back in my day, we used a beaver blade. And we'll try to find that little device. It like lifts up and then cuts. We'll try to find a picture of it. But anyway, cut up in like that. And then all of this is pulled out. So what you have then is an area of nail bed that's completely exposed. Now, we will either cauterize this area back up inside the nail bed so that this doesn't grow back, and then it'll eventually grow tissue, skin over there, or we teach you how to trim your nails. And we just send you home and let the nail grow back. Now, what are we talking about with teach you how to trim your nails? The most common cause of an ingrown toenail, you look at the curve of the toe, and if you trim your nails to match the curve of the toe, you're more likely to have an ingrown toenail. So we teach them not to trim their nails like that. Instead, you want to trim your nails straight across, like that. And the corners reinforce the nail and keep it from curving like that. Cutting that at a curve promotes the continued curve of the nail, and it's more likely to curve around over. So if you had one of those things, remember how painful they look? You probably won't have any problem with doing this after they take that thing out of there. Again, just wear socks. Sorry. You know, if you think it's ugly, wear socks. I don't show my feet in public. I'm sorry. That's just a thing for me. You won't ever see me out there in like flip-flops or any type of sandals without socks on. I wear flip-flops with socks, y'all. Yeah, I'm that dude. The one walking around with the little toe thing up through your socks and all that. Yeah, that's me. I will not show my feet in public. You know what else I don't show in public? I mean, some people do. There are other things I don't show, but things that people tend to, but I don't. Armpits. I never, ever go out without something to cover my armpits. One of that is, and that's how psychologically these things can affect us from childhood. That's something that happened to me as a child when I was a kid. I was the first person at my school to have pit hair. And I wore a tank top to school one day. And them kids made such fun of me that to this day, I don't show my armpits in public.
I had something happen to me when I was younger, and I do not wear, like, jeans, how they go to your ankle. I cannot have anything touch my ankle. I literally will put a rubber band and put them up so above my Jordans, or I will roll my roll my pants up. I cannot have anything touch my ankle. Like, it freaks me out really bad.
Notice how somebody said above my Jordans. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry, I'm not a girly girl. You know, I'm from New York. I'm not a girly girl.
Tennis shoes, but my Jordans, thank you. Anyway, so that is how to prevent ingrown toenails. It's how we trim our nails. Yeah. So again, that's how strong some of the psychological effects of things that happen to us in childhood. I'll be 57 this year, and I still don't show my armpits. I have basketball jerseys and things, but I wear t-shirts underneath. I'm not going to do it. And my wife asked me before, why don't you just cut? I'm not, thank you. Well, no, leave me alone. I'm not walking out of this house with my armpits or my toes showing the people. So how do you swim, Mr. Mahone? I wear swim shoes. You know, the rubber swim shoes. And if y'all knew how much fungus is around pools, around the water parks, you'd wear swim shoes too. One day we was at Fiesta, Texas at the water park, and I went down to get some stuff from the food place, and I'm coming back, and there's my son coming out of the bathroom, barefoot.
Oh,
I said, boy, come here. What, didn't I tell you to keep those things on you? Well, I can't swim with those on. Boy, you can't swim anyway. Put them doggone things on your feet. I hope that was water you was standing in there. Ooh, dad. Yeah. Remember I told you about them old men can't and pee dropping on the floor? I hope that was water you was standing in. You come out the damn doggone bathroom barefoot. Ugh. Anyway, I didn't want him getting in the car with me. I'm like, boy, you can walk home. You got all pee toes now. See, I'm just as childish as my kids, y'all. I sit in the car, pee toes. Dad, yeah, you got pee toes.
Good energy, good energy.
Everybody else gets free toes. You got pee toes. So anyway, I'll make fun of my kids, y'all, just because it builds character. So anyway, that is an ingrown toenail. And the last thing we want to look at then is and many of us have had these. Y'all probably seen. Oh, there it is right there. Ingrown toenail corrector. This is what I was talking about. I was going to try. Oh, actually, I was looking for this thing right here. Ingrown toenail manicure correction fixer foot thing. That right there. They have a bigger picture. I have that at Walmart too, hey? Or on the site anyway. Out of stock though. This thing right here. It goes underneath the nail, you screw down on it, and it pulls the nail up and out. I don't think this is a medical thing, actually. I don't know if they're using them in clinics or not, just like that. But you can see how that thing could actually cause infection if it's not clean and sterilized and all that before you use it. So
I was working at a shelter, and I had to be inside the room while the doctor did the procedure on a young man.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulls right there that picture where you had where that clamp is going down.
Uh-huh.
The doctor, well, they numbed the toe,
mm-hmm.
and then he cut all that right there on the side.
Uh-huh.
He pushed it back, and he went in, and I guess he clipped right there. So when he brought the nail that he had cut actually had tissue. Yeah, like it was kind of long, you know, like when he threw it into that little disc thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he cut all that, and then when he pulled it out, it had like tissue, I guess, to stop it from growing in that area.
Yeah. Again, yeah, you're definitely going to numb these up because this toe is so sore again, I can't put the shoes on. So the first thing
y'all should
that is numb up the toe. Go ahead, Mom.
YouTube the toe bro.
Huh? Say what?
The toe bro.
I'm not going up in there. I'm not going to YouTube.
It's a TV show, and it's all about fixing toenails and
yeah. Christy mentioned that a little bit earlier. The toe bro. You know what? Any doctor who's doing that for a living, you got to wonder about them. It's like Dr. Pimple Popper. Really?
I love Dr. Pimple Popper.
So y'all.
I love it.
But you got to wonder.
I do too, Amberly.
Girl, we gonna have to watch some videos.
I know.
But you got to wonder why that doctor lets them call that show Pimple Popper, because those are not pimples they're doing. Those are
definitely not.
Cysts, right?
Not.
Those are cysts. So you got to wonder why, if you're a doctor, why do you even let them call the show that? Because that's not what you're doing. So you got to wonder about these doctors who appear on these shows like that, y'all. It's like Judge Judy. Yeah, really? You're a judge. What are you doing on TV?
Poor lady died, though. Come on.
Oh, poor thing. Who?
Judge she didn't.
She didn't die. Her speaker died. Her white speaker dude died. I can't remember his name. The one that does the introductions.
Oh, okay.
No, I think she died like a few weeks ago.
Oh, poor thing.
No, she didn't die. She's getting ready to start a whole new season.
It's sad when anybody dies.
Yeah.
Remember that one death diminishes us all. Whatever that person had went with them. So anyway, so the last thing we want to look at then, as far as the nails, into this first, excuse me, is the subungual hematoma. Below the nail. Subungual, a hematoma is a blood tumor. Hematoma. Hemato is blood, oma is tumor. Subungual hematoma. That's these things right here. A little blood tumor under the nail. If you've ever seen these or if you've ever had one, they can be painful, but many of them are not. It's just, whatever you slammed your finger in is what's hurting. But the blood under there is, we have to get it out of there because if it continues to collect, it'll pop the nail bed off. Or not pop the nail off and you end up with an exposed nail bed right there. The nail will grow back eventually, but there you go. For a while, you won't have a nail. And this is exactly how we drain them. We use a needle on top of the nail, and what they're going to do with that needle, look at that dude's nails. I hope that's somebody doing this self, because with your fingers looking like that, you better put some gloves on, Slick. What's wrong with your hands? But anyway, what they're going to do with the 2 forefingers is drill back and forth like this. So put the needle on, a little pressure from upper, and then drill back and forth until a blood drop appears at the tip of the needle. And then you can squeeze the blood up from underneath their finger.
I have one of those on my toe, on one of my little toes, for years, and none of the doctors seem concerned about it. They look at it and they leave it alone. I've had, like, every time I get my feet examined, I guess because of my diabetes, they look at my toes, but they don't even mess with it.
Well, let me tell you something, Jose. If it's on the feet, you really don't want to be doing it anyway, unless you absolutely have to, for a diabetic. Okay. Remember, y'all's toes and feet are not something, toes and feet. Y'all's toes is not something we want to be messing around with if we don't have to. Because if you make a cut down there, you might not feel it. It becomes infected, you won't know it. And then gangrene, we cut it off. So as far as pedicures and all that type of stuff, there are places in town that do diabetic pedicures. And those are the people you need to be seeing. You shouldn't even be trimming your own nails. Because a little cut down there, if you don't feel it, you could end up having that toe cut off, which could lead to the foot, then to the leg, all the way up to the knee. And that's why you see so many diabetic people. If you go over to the VA, you see all these old dudes in the wheelchairs with a leg gone or 2 legs gone. You go, oh, you lost your leg in the war. No, diabetes took my leg. Yeah. That's why we see so much of that. So you shouldn't even be trimming your own nails if you are confirmed diabetic. You should be having that done by a diabetic pedicure. And there are people or places in town that will do that. Sometimes it's called a medical pedicure, but most often it's diabetic pedicure to make sure that they're not cutting tissue when they're trimming your nails down there. All right, so that's how we drain a subungual hematoma. Needle, boom, drill back and forth until a blood drop appears, throw away the needle, and go up under their finger and push the blood up so that it comes out with the nail, as much of it as you can. You won't ever get it all. It'll still be the same color when you're done, but get any compressed blood or from out from under there. So that's a subungual hematoma. And those are common issues that happen with the nails. Clubbing, spoon nail, onychomycosis, ingrown toenails, and subungual hematomas. And by the way, have y'all ever heard of the Ice Man? Not the Hitman, but the one they found in the ice, was supposed to be thousands of years old, and they're trying to figure out how he died. They figured out from his nails. He had nail clubbing. It means they probably died of a heart attack in the snow. And by the way, that man that's supposedly thousands of years old was wearing sewn clothing. Clothes that was stitched clothing. He was wearing clothes that were stitched together. Now, that's the time where we thought everybody was walking around in animal skins and all that. They were animal skins, but they were stitched together. He was wearing stitched shoes. So those people were not as, I don't know, what's the word, primitive as we believe they were. You know what he was carrying in his pouch? Fungus. Now, some people believe that that fungus developed in the pouch, but it was trimmed, and they could look at it and tell that this was fungus that he purposely brought with him. Why would you carry fungus with you? Do y'all,
Penicillin.
do y'all know what penicillin is?
Penicillin.
Fungus.
Ah, true.
Yeah.
Smart. I didn't know penicillin was a fungus.
But I know that
go ahead, Jose.
They the first needles were actually made out of wood.
Yeah.
The first sewing needles.
Yeah.
They were so fine and sharpened, but they put a hole where they would to use the hair of the horse or the hair of the woman to sew.
Yeah. And he was also carrying, by the way, fire lighting equipment. Flinch. So they weren't like in, if you've ever seen that movie where they're trying to keep the fire from going out because they don't know how to start more fire. This dude was carrying flint and stone to ignite fires. So they were more advanced than we thought they were. And by the way, he was carrying created tools, hammers, like a hammer or a hatchet it was stone, but it was strapped to a wooden handle. So they made tools, not just found stuff and used it. They actually made tools too. So anyway, that one cadaver that they found is causing people to relook at our history. And when did we actually develop tool using and medicine and those type things? So anyway, clubbing, spoon nail, onychomycosis, ingrown toenails, and subungual hematomas, all happening at our nails. The next thing we want to talk about in the dermis is the hair follicle. And before we get into writing all that down, I want to go back to the whiteboard to illustrate the hair. At the surface of the epidermis, which sits on top of the dermis below, the hair originates down here in the dermis. It passes through the epidermis, obviously, but the hair follicle is in the dermis itself. Now, inside the hair follicle is the hair shaft or the hair bulb. That's where the nucleus is. And that's what you can get DNA from. The hair shaft grows out. And there is no DNA up here. This is all dead cells. So if you cut a person's hair, you're not going to get any of that. So in order to determine somebody's DNA or get somebody's DNA from a hair shaft, you have to pluck the hair and then hold it up to the light and make sure you have the hair bulb on the end. Then you put that in the envelope and send it off. It's really obvious too, y'all. You can also do it by holding the hair in your hand and sliding your hand along it. And when you get to the end, you'll feel the bulb right there. It's really easy to feel. Or just hold it up to the light and make sure you have that. Drop it into the plastic bag and send it off. Okay. Now, I want to talk a little bit about how our hair grows. Remember we talked about the difference between light skin and dark skin? If the melanin out here around that hair shaft is high, then the hair shaft will grow out dark. Now, our hair also grows in relation to how the hair follicle is positioned. If the hair follicle is straight up and down like this hair will grow out long and straight. But if that hair follicle is angled, the hair that grows out of there will grow out and curl right away. So that's the difference between African, African American, and Caucasian, the angle of the hair follicles. And that's why African American, African people, when our hair grows out, it curls right away. Remember what that purpose is? To keep it off the back of your neck and from behind your ears. So you get good airflow. So now that causes a problem for men and women too. When we first got African-American men into the military in high numbers, remember World War II, there were some African-American men. Korea, there was a few more. Vietnam, There you go. All these African American and Hispanic American all being sent over to war. Now, we were making these men shave every day. Now, on the face, the hair follicles are angled down like this. So when the hair grows out, it curls right away like that. When you shave, if you pull the razor against that angle, it's going to catch the hair, pull it backwards, and then it snaps off. So you really didn't cut the hair, you broke it. And when it snaps off, it's going to, let me make this a little bit bigger. When it snaps off, it's going to snap back up into the follicle. So what you have now is the bulb and the hair right there. Now, when this hair grows, what's it going to do? It's going to curl right away. See what happens? It grows into the side of the follicle. And any bacteria gets carried in with it. And that is pseudo, or excuse me, that's not pseudo. That is folliculitis. Infection of a hair follicle. It's going to cause a hair bump on the face or on the groin area. So African American women will see this as well, shaving legs or shaving the groin area, because the hair grows thicker on our face and in the groin area. Now, even if that hair does break off longer than the follicle, what's going to happen now is when it starts to grow, it's going to curl into the side of the follicle, and the hair shaft is going to stick into the skin right there and carry all that bacteria with it. And that's going to create a bump right there. That's a shaving bump. Now, if it happens out here, it's called pseudo folliculitis. Pseudo means false. So this one out here is not an infection of the hair follicle, it's happening right next to it, but it looks the same. So it's called a false folliculitis or pseudo folliculitis, hair bumps. Now, what's going to happen when this person shaves again tomorrow morning? They're going to cut that bump right there and cause scarring on the face. So in the military, we have evolved. During the Vietnam era, they made the men shave every day, and some of them are getting disability because of the scarring to their face.
You still sleep?
So today, we have in the military what we call the shaving clinic, where we will literally,
There's still some cereal and milk.
we will literally send you down to a clinic for them to teach you how to shave, to keep you from scarring your face like that. And in the shaving clinic, you're going to see it full of African American men and a few Asian men, or Hispanic guys. But mostly you won't hardly ever see white guys in the shaving clinic. And that, by the way, is why, when was the last time you saw a black man in a shaving commercial? You ever think about that? It never happens. Because in shaving commercials, what do you see them doing? Black men can't shave like that. We shave down. And never turn that razor over. Shaving the growing area, you shave towards the feet. You never pull backwards towards the body. You shave with the angle of the hair follicle. So we're coming at the hair follicle like this, and more likely to cut it off clean rather than against the hair follicle. So hair follicles like this, if you're shaving like this, you're more likely to break it. If you're shaving down with it, it's more likely to come off clean. So never turn that razor over. Always go like this the whole time. Now, when I was a drill instructor, I was sending many of those guys in to shave for the first time in their life. And one of the things I would do was stand at the bathroom door as they came out and count the number of bumps on their face. Anybody got more than 5 bumps on their face? Shaving clinic. and they will teach you how to shave. I learned a valuable lesson one day when I was a fairly new drill instructor. Told them wingnuts, get in the bathroom, shave your face. Come back out, I don't see any hair on your face. What do you think a couple of them fools did? Shaved their eyebrows off. I was like, really? You shave? Guys, there are some, I won't call these people dumb, but I'm just saying, okay?
Lack of common sense.
Yeah. There were some people in the military, y'all, we literally had to give them we called them the rocks. Oh yeah, he's a rock. What a rock is means that we have to give you a rock to hold in your right hand. And when I say right face, you turn towards the rock. When I say left face, you turn away from the rock. So we call those trainees rocks. Yeah, yeah, boss, he's a rock, man. He's a rock. I had to give him a rock so you can tell right from left. So anyway, I don't like to use the word dumb, but there are some people who are real close out there in the world, y'all. The rocks. Anyway, so that's pseudofolliculitis, a false infection of the hair follicle. Instead, it's happening right next to. So our way to handle that is to teach people to shave properly. I don't know if anybody have heard of this stuff, but my dad used to use this stuff. Magic shave. And you take it and you mix it up and you put it on your face. And it was the funkiest thing I ever smelled, man. You are not the funkiest thing I've ever smelled. I mean, that's hyperbole, but it was funky. And you walk through there, oh man, Dad's shaving again. Jeez, man, it was horrible smelling, y'all. But what it is, it's a debilitatory. It removes the hair for you. So you rub it on there, you let it sit for about 15 minutes, and then you scrape it off with, he used to use a butter knife, and you just pull the stuff off and the hair comes off with it. So my cousin, my female cousin, Mercedes, or no, it was Murtis, by the way. That was her name, Murtis. What? Murtis? But anyway, it was Murtis and Mercedes. They were twins. Murtis got some hair on her upper lip. So you know what she did? She used today what they call today neat
Nair.
Hair. Yeah, she used that on her upper lip. Got chemical burns on her upper lip. And if you go home, if I go home to St. Louis today, you can meet her. You can still see where she burned her upper lip with that stuff. Anyway, there are better ways to do that, y'all. Today we have electrolysis. They just go in and destroy the hair follicle. All right. So some issues with the hair, including pseudofolliculitis, are hirsutism. Hirsutism is when you have hair growth in abnormal places. For example, a lady who develops chest hair or a beard or mustache. A man who has hair on the bridge of his nose. We're not supposed to have hair in those areas. So that's called hirsutism. If a person is described as being hirsute, it means they're very hairy. I saw that in, that lady actually used it in Silence of the Lambs. When she finally found the guy that was killing people, she went to his door, he opened the door, he didn't have a shirt on, and she said, wow, you're a very hirsute young man. He was very hairy. That's the first time I've ever heard that in a sentence like that. You're a very hirsute young man. He was hairy. So hirsutism is hair growth in abnormal places. Now, how odd or how dramatic can that be? Y'all may have heard of these people before. I'm going to start with JoJo.
There's some twins, I think, in Central America. They're called Wolf Boys.
Yeah, the Wolf Boys. They're in Mexico. They live in Mexico City. We'll see them here in just a second. So this is JoJo, the dog-faced boy. Now, he performed in the circus. It was the Barnum Bailey Circus. Now, this guy actually spoke like 7 languages. He had a couple college degrees, and this was back in like the early 1900s. Had a couple college degrees, spoke like 7 languages. So he was a very intelligent person, or a very smart person. He actually bit bones and howled at the moon for the audience. Is how he made his living. And it didn't bother him because he died a wealthy man. So anyway, if you notice, JoJo is unusual from some of the others because he even has hair on the bridge of his nose. Now, what's that hair called? It's called lanugo. It's not the same hair as the rest of us. If you've ever seen a baby, especially a white baby, born with, you can see it better on white kids, born with these hairs just covering them, all over little tiny white hairs. That's lanugo. From those hair follicles, they release oil onto their skin while they're in the womb. How many of y'all have been in the tub a little bit too long? Get out and your skin's all crinkly. Okay. Imagine now 9 months floating in fluid. A lot of oil. And the lanugo produces that oil for them from those hair shafts. And when we're born, those hair shafts close off. So if you look at a doctor like, why my baby so hairy? Don't worry, that goes away. The lanugo will close and those hairs will stop growing. In these people, the lanugo doesn't stop. It continues to grow. And it's on the slide, but the word is Lanugo, lanugo. It continues to grow in them. And it's a different kind of hair. It's very thin and therefore very straight. Now, what we do, JoJo, actually, I saw an interview with him. He actually said that he spent 2 to 3 hours a day grooming himself, combing his hair so it'd be nice and straight like that. If he didn't do that, it would be all matted from all the dried oils and stuff. So anyway, that is lanugo and the dog-faced boy. I know the term is antiquated and not PC right now, but there it is. And JoJo was the first one. The first, not the first one, but the first well-known person. And then the dog boys of Mexico. These dudes. Now see the picture? Look at the tip of his, the bridge of his nose. Yeah, no hair right there. See, so even for these folks, growing hair on the bridge of the nose was not common. But in JoJo, he had no hair even at the bridge of his nose. Now, this is a family of boys. There are 5 kids. 3 of them have the condition, the other 2 don't. And they, there was a picture of them actually in the pool together. Let me see if I can find that one. But they started in the circus, and they started learning little tricks. First, they were just on display. Then they started learning little tricks like sliding the spoon up their nose and that type of stuff from the other performers. And they eventually became trapeze artists, you know, where you swing and catch the other person, da, da, da. And now they're one of the premier trapeze groups in the world. They perform for the Russian president and the president of the United States. They travel all over the world. So they are one of the best trapeze groups out there. So there are 5 of them. It's not showing all of them. But 2 of them have the condition and 3 of them don't. Wolf Boys of Mexico. Okay. I put Dog Boys. There are 2 of them together. And people say, well, why don't y'all just do the electrolysis and then y'all won't have all that hair? There they are in their trapeze suits. And people say, if you do electrolysis, then y'all won't have all that hair. And they say, yeah, but we make millions of dollars a year. So there you go. This is how we make our living. So why do I want to throw my living away? But they don't show the whole family together. 3 of them have it, 2 of them don't. So anyway, that is the hirsutism, hair growth in abnormal places. So anybody, even just a lady who has just a few chest hairs, still falls in the condition of hirsutism. It's hair that you're not supposed to have in that area. And there's the word lanugo. Now, the absence of that is alopecia. Absence of hair, or the opposite of that is alopecia. The absence of hair where it normally grows. Like somebody who doesn't grow hair on their head, or their armpits, or their genital areas, the place where we expect hair to grow. And that would be alopecia. Now, alopecia can be complete, alopecia capitis, the head, alopecia corporis, the body. Or it can be blotchy. In other words, they just lose hair in spots around that area, around the head. So the two that you should have in your notes, hirsutism and alopecia. Hair growth in abnormal places versus absence of hair where it would normally grow. Hirsutism and alopecia. So let's take a look at alopecia. And again, you might think, well, you know, yeah, well, you don't grow hair. For a lady, alopecia corporis would be, oh, hey, I don't have to shave anything. I have to shave my legs, armpits, none of that. But alopecia can also be kind of bad looking. Like that. So I wouldn't mind being bald, but who wants to be like this? And by the way, y'all, I've been bald for a while. I've been like this way before it was popular. And for y'all, I had hair when I was a young man. Y'all know I had, look at my arms. Y'all know damn well I had hair. I am a hirsute person. I had afro. Bang. Yeah. I go back in the hood, we used to call it the big Angela Davis afro. I was way out here, y'all.
Man. I used to have hair to my shoulders, curly.
When I walked down the street, my afro bounced. Yeah, buddy. Always had the girls. Hey, let me braid your hair. Oh yeah, come on, girl, do that. And then go home, have my sister take them out, and call some other. Hey, girl, you want to braid my hair for me? Yeah, buddy. I was like, who was that? Samson. That got the hair got my strength from my hair, man. Anyway, so that is. I had been standing on the bus stop and it was snowing. When I got on the bus, I almost got into a fight. Everybody started laughing. I had this like umbrella of snow, like white cap. Everybody was laughing. I almost got into a fight with a dude over that. So anyway, I had this big old afro. So that is alopecia. And you can see it can be complete or it can be blotchy like this. I would rather just obviously just have complete hair. And why this person doesn't shave their head, there might be a reason for it. There might not be. I've never shaved my head. I don't do that. I take the clippers on the lowest setting and just run them through. I don't get to the razor and all that and the complete shiny bald head. My head isn't shaped right for that. So anyway, that is alopecia. Have y'all ever met a lady, a bald lady? Sometimes, or really, really short hair. Sometimes that's attractive. I mean, if they have just the right shaped face and the right shaped head, that's attractive in some ladies. But anyway, that is alopecia. All right. And have those two for your assessment. Hirsutism, hair growth in abnormal places. Alopecia, absence of hair where it normally grows. And that is your hair follicles. So next thing we want to talk about are the sweat glands. We have two types of sweat glands, eccrine and apocrine. Let me go ahead and do this to separate them. Eccrine, they're located all over our bodies, and they activate in response to heat. You get hot, you start sweating. And you see that the apocrine glands, or apocrine, depending on who you're talking to, they grow in our palms, or excuse me, they're located in our palms, armpits, groin area, and forehead. And they activate in response to stress or sexual situations. get all turned on, you get all sweaty. My wife be like, "You make me hot." Oh, do I? You know what I'm talking about. You know, you making me hot. Okay. So anyway, this is why your palms sweat when you have that job interview that day. And remember, too, guys, do the courtesy wipe if you're going to shake somebody's hands. You know, rub their hands on the pants and then shake their hands. Don't be like all sweaty palms shaking people's hands, man. That's kind of, so anyway, that's kind of icky. So some people are born without sweat glands, and we call that anhidrosis, the absence of sweat glands. So what do? If they get hot? They carry bottles of water around with them. They know it's going outside, it's 80 degrees out there, carry a bottle of water. And if you get hot, just pour it on you. You're getting wet, you're just getting wet from a different way. Now, what they don't do is they don't secrete metabolic waste through their sweat. And that could be an issue for them. That's why sweat is salty, by the way. There's a certain amount of metabolic waste in there. And it could be a sign that your kidneys have shut down. If you can't get all of the junk out of your body through urine, it's going to start to come out your pores. We call it uremic frost. You can actually see it on their skin like a frosty donut. That's the waste product coming out their pores because they can't get it out through the kidneys or through the urinary tract. So anhidrosis is the absence of sweat glands. They don't sweat. Now I'm going to ask you all about these things because, first of all, let's say what they are. Pheromones is how it's pronounced, pheromone. And they are scent attractors for the opposite sex. We release this scent and it draws the opposite sex towards us. Okay. Do you think humans release pheromones? All other animals do.
Yes.
It hasn't been proven in humans yet, but all other animals do. Plants do release pheromones that attract other plants, I guess. So anyway, so how do we, let me say this. When y'all got up this morning, now y'all didn't leave the house, but usually when we're in the classroom, I'll say, okay, when you got up this morning, did y'all take a shower? And I go, Okay, yeah. So you did, all right. So when you got into the shower, did you use soap? Okay. Did that soap have a smell to it? Well, yeah, soap makes you smell good. Okay, all right. Did you use any shampoo? Some people go, yeah. Did the shampoo smell the same as the soap? Probably not. And I shave in the shower. So, you know, and one other thing, some people brush in the shower. I didn't mention this before, but did you know that the Roman soldiers used to brush their teeth with urine? Yep. Kept their teeth and gums healthy. Their urine is acidic. So anyway, so now you're done your shower thing, you're all wet. And then you step out of the shower. Did you dry off? Probably used a towel. Was that towel clean? If it was, then it had a scent to it. And even if it's dirty, it probably had a scent to it. So you just rub that all over you. And then you brush your teeth, Did y'all put on lotion? If you're black in San Antonio, you better. The water is so hard in the city, y'all. I was looking at my wife one day. I'm like, girl, you better put some lotion on. It look like you've been kicking a bag of flour. So ashy. So in it, you probably put some lotion on, okay. And then you put your clothes on. You might have did your hair with your hairspray. And then you put your clothes on. And you might have sprayed on your makeup. Yeah, airbrush. All right. So anyway, so now you're ready to go, right? No. Now you want to put on the thing that you want to smell like that day. The perfume or the cologne. And if you're like my wife, I love watching her get dressed. If you're going to do what she does is she can't spray the perfume on. She's got to spray it in the air and then walk through it. And I'm not, she uses that motion. I'm like, what was that? Do that again. Leave me alone. I'm like, do that again. I like that. Dash through it motion. Like, spray and then just dash through it. So I've started doing that when I wear cologne. I actually dash through like she does and get the cologne to fall on you. Because if you spray it on directly on, it'll be too overwhelming. So anyway, you got all of this on you. Who knows what the hell you smell like? You have too many artificial scents on you. So if we do release pheromones, we cover them up. Go ahead, Jose. Can't hear you. Unmute your mic.
Okay. There's something in the menstrual cycle
Uh-huh.
that hits the men's senses.
Yeah.
So sometimes when a like female coworkers, you see them as friends, but on a certain day, all of a sudden you're attracted to them. So sometimes it's that there was something that either they're coming on or they're starting or they're about to finish, and you catch that in our subconscious.
Right. Those are called hormones. We can detect hormone release. And that's why, ladies, and any woman will tell you this, if you lived in a group living situation with other women, what happens?
We all have our periods at the same time. And it sucks when you have sisters.
You all start ovulating at the same time and therefore menstruating at the same time. And in the female dormitories in the military, it was either feast or famine. Everybody or nobody. Okay. So that is detecting hormone release in each other. And it's the same as the herd mentality. Think of it like a herd of buffalo. I'm not calling y'all buffalo, but think about it like a herd of buffalo. If the herd is moving, we can't stop. And back in the day, y'all, it was millions of buffalo moving together. We can't stop the whole herd while somebody stops to have a calf. So they all started to menstruate or started to have babies at the same time. So the whole herd would stop, all the babies would be born, and then they'd move on. They detected hormone release in each other. And we still do that today. If you put, like I said, in a female dormitory in the basic training, oh yeah, it's either feast or famine, man. Everybody or nobody. So we detect that hormone release in each other. Do you think that if we do release pheromones, we cover them up with all these unnatural scents that we use? Let me ask y'all a question. What is your favorite perfume? Come on, give me some. What's your favorite?
Chance by Chanel.
Oh, okay. There's somebody. Anybody else? What's your favorite perfume?
Very Sexy, Victoria's
Yeah.
Secret.
What is it?
Very Sexy from
Oh,
Victoria's.
Very Sexy. Okay, from who?
I like Gucci Guilty.
Period.
All right.
Burberry.
Secret. Okay.
Juicy Couture.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Now let me ask you this: what is your favorite scent for your partner?
For who?
Partner.
Savage.
Oh, okay.
Savage by.
I really like the. I love.
Aqua di Gio.
I like the Versace light blue.
Ooh.
Yep.
Versace.
The Gucci, the Polo.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes.
All right. Now,
Coach is good too.
do you pick your own perfume?
Yes.
You do?
I do.
I don't. My husband picks
No,
it for
my
me.
husband does.
Oh, I buy my own.
There's the key. You're not trying to attract yourself. Hey, you guys are all in love with you. Oh, I smell so good. No, my wife picks my body sprays. I have colognes and also have the body sprays that I use at work. When I go out and have a cigarette, I spray when I come back before I come back in. So my wife picks my body sprays.
You never just buy your own?
No.
I pick my husband's too. Girl, ain't nothing
I
wrong
mean,
with
yeah,
it.
like I picked my boyfriend's, but I mean, I don't know. Like I just went to the mall the other day and I bought me a new perfume, and I don't know.
Let me tell y'all something. Okay. When my wife says, "What body spray you want me to get?" I say, "Get whatever you like." And sometimes she hits the mark, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I like this." Other times it's like, really? You like this? Uh-huh. Okay then. Come on, get some of this. Okay. I'm 57 years old. I need all the help I can get. So I try to smell good, dress good, because I don't look good anymore. So I got to smell and dress. That's why, by the way, you see older men always dress sharp.
Oh, yeah.
All the help we can get, man. So if that's what you like, spray it all over me, girl, and come climb this mountain. Right. So anyway.
Oh my God.
Hey, all right. All right. So, and same with your partner, man. Now, I know they tell y'all there are these perfumes out there and cologne that smell different on everybody. That's a gimmick. If you spray Versace on me and then spray it on Jose, it's going to smell the same.
Facts.
And here's the thing about artificial scents. If you like Gucci on your man, what happens when you go to the club tonight and some other guy walks by wearing Gucci?
I'll be looking for my husband. Hell,
Ooh,
like I know he ain't up in
smell
here.
good too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Scent is the strongest attractor, y'all. Ooh, you smell so good. Now, what if we did this? What if we stopped using all the artificial scents and just went all natural?
No, sir. People would stink.
Yeah, everybody'd be funky. But one day, you're going to walk past one guy and you're going to go, man, that's strong, but I kind of like it.
There's a culture that does that right now, isn't
Many
there?
cultures do. Yeah, especially in the Middle East.
That the more he smells like armpit and sweat, the more the woman's attracted to him.
When you go to the Middle East, they don't wear all the scents that we do. And as a result of that, you can detect body odor. And people automatically say, well, they're funky, they're dirty. No, they're not. They shower as often as we do. They just don't use scented stuff. And their natural scent comes through. Now, what is it that doesn't change about you through your entire life? You know, it's not your appearance. I don't look anything like when my wife married me. I was young and handsome. So what would I use today then? What doesn't change? Your natural sense. And we are probably the only animals who choose our mates by looking rather than smelling, because the smell is the one thing that doesn't change. Rocky doesn't like, our dog, he doesn't like new people. My mom came to visit and she was here once, way back when. She was here at the house and she stayed a couple of days and he got used to her. It was about 3 years later, she came back. And Rocky was like, I remember you. That's the one thing that doesn't change is our natural sense. So if we chose mates by smell, we probably be more successful at lifelong mating. Because
why do some people really smell? I mean, at the gym, I would have a guy that would come in and he would be clean. He would smell great when he came in. But within an hour, like everybody in the gym was like, hey, Christy, you got to say something to him. Like, it's horrible. We can't even breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was bad. And I can't say anything because it's not like he came in that way.
Yeah. Some people are just, they release stuff. Now, some lady's going to walk in that gym one day and go, man, he's funky, but, and that's your lifelong mate. Okay. And that's good too, because most other people would be repulsed by it. But your partner would be like, I like my man's funk. So anyway, and cultures that don't use a lot of scents, if they stand next to you, they'll tell you, that's horrible. It's like walking into a candle store. Why do y'all put all that stuff on? You know, it's just irritating to the nostrils and all that, because we smell like a candle store. You ever walk into a candle store? All those different candles,
I get an
and
instant
all those
headache.
different scents hitting you at the same time, give you a headache.
Hmm.
So they say that standing next to us is horrible, but we're calling them funky. And let me tell you about the dirt. Let me tell y'all something about dirty. These people being dirty. At least they wash their butt after every bowel movement. You use dry paper, don't you? Mm-hmm.
And baby wipes. And if I'm at home, I take a shower.
Yeah. When I went to Europe and I sat on the bidet, oh man. For y'all that don't know what it is, a little toilet that sits right next to the toilet. As soon as you finish your business, you move over to the bidet and you turn the water on and it shoots a stream of water up your butt.
Those are crazy. I couldn't use those.
Ooh, my wife's like, will you get off there? No, I kind of like this. We need to get one of these, man. So anyway, if I had
Mr. Mahone, they sell them here now where you
They
can
do.
connect it to your toilet. I have one.
Oh, okay.
I love it. They're like they're less than $100. It connects to your toilet and you just connect it to the line.
Oh,
It's pretty awesome.
Is it at Bed Bath and Beyond?
I don't remember. I actually got it for Christmas because I told my husband I wanted one.
You probably said, oh, yeah, let's get you one. I'm going to go online and see if I can find one of these things, man. But in the hotel in Europe, I was like, in Germany, I was like, oh, man. I was like, I don't know. It's time to go. No, you go ahead. I'll be here when you get back, man. So anyway, in other countries, don't just look at their body odor and say that this person is dirty. Many times they wash more than we do. And especially they wash their butt after every bowel movement. So anyway, those are pheromones. I just like to talk about those for a little bit. Do we have them? It hasn't been scientifically proven, but all other animals do, so why not us? All right, in dermis, we're also going to find our nerve endings. We have nerve endings that will detect temperature, let you know what it's like around your skin. Is it hot? Is it cold? Pressure. It not only detects touch, but it detects the intensity of the touch. Is it a light touch or is somebody grabbing me and squeezing me? And then nerve endings for pain. Now, some people are born without pain receptors. And we call that condition anesthesia, the absence of pain sensation. Also, the technical name for it is congenital insensitivity to pain. Y'all heard me use that earlier today. But anesthesia, AN means without, anesthesia is sensation. It's the same word we use for the stuff that we use to numb your skin or put you to sleep during surgery. Anesthesia, same word. Absence of AN is without, anesthesia is sensation. Anesthesia without sensation. Now, people out there in the world, like movie makers and things like that, they sometimes get a hold of our terms and they go, oh, you mean people can be born and not feel pain? Oh, wouldn't that be cool? Would it? Okay, now let me tell
You wouldn't stop hurting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't know
when something's wrong.
Well, thank you, Amberly. You wouldn't know when something's wrong. Now, in movies, they like to portray these people as hitmen. They have this one guy, I just watched the TV show. I just mentioned this earlier, the Blacklist TV show. I just watched it last night. And that guy that they had, he was a hitman. See, he goes around and kills people. He hides stuff under his skin because he can't feel it going in. Nobody said these people can't get infections. Nobody said these people can't die. They just can't feel it. And in the final scene, yeah, he was shot in the head and he kept stepping, but he dropped dead. Yeah. So they can't feel it, but it can still kill them. If he was opening a cut to hide this little disc in there, little computer chip in there, so they wouldn't find it. Okay. How infected is that going to get? See, this is where movies just, they upset me sometimes because they portray this stuff unrealistically. Somebody who can't feel pain, let me tell you about that person. If you bump into them at work or they bump into a table, oh. Like, what are you doing? Oh man, I can't feel pain. I get a little cut. That could kill me. These are not hitmen. They don't play football. They don't do any other thing, basketball, something where they can get a cut and not notice. It's like what we talked about with Jose and the not being able to feel sensation in your feet. You started up having cold toes cut off. This person sitting there talking to you because they bumped their hand on the table. Oh man, I got to check my hand because if I get a cut right there and don't feel it, I could lose my fingers. These are not hitmen. Okay? So I hated that TV portrays them like that. Another movie that did it was a movie called, if y'all have ever seen that movie, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Anybody seen that? I love the whole series. It's like 6 movies. In the second movie, they introduce a new character. His name is Niedermeyer, and he can't feel pain. And he's coming after her, and he won't stop. He won't stop. He won't stop. He's this unstoppable hitman. Nobody says they can't die. Yeah. And she finally stopped him by nailing his feet to the floor with a nail gun. But anyway, nobody says these people can't die. They just can't feel it when it's happening to them. One little girl, I wish I had a video of this, but one little girl went to bed at night and her mom came in to check on her and she was this close to chewing her bottom lip completely off. Blood was running down her face and all that. She just couldn't feel it when she was biting on it. It didn't hurt. So mom walked in just in time or the little girl would have bitten her lip completely off. So again, anesthesia, absence of pain sensation. Now, when people have this, they usually, or many times, not usually, but sometimes it's accompanied by anhidrosis. They don't have sweat glands either. So often when they have this, they also have anhidrosis as well. That should be in there. And we already talked about what that is, not having sweat glands. So anesthesia, absence of pain sensation. Let's take a break and then we'll do the sebaceous glands when we come back. It's 25 after, so let's come back at 20 till, give us 15 minutes.
Hi.
Okay, so the last of the structures in our dermis are called our sebaceous glands. They secrete a oily substance called sebum. And there it is in red, so y'all know what that means. Sebaceous glands secrete an oily substance called sebum. Before we continue, I need to do this. The following people, Delia, Esmeralda, Wendy De Los Santos, Stephanie Harden, Ariana Mancinas, Brooklyn Martinez, Yvonne Marino, Bianca Ramirez, Amber Rubalcaba, Ashley Espinosa, and Mahogany Washington. Y'all need to come on campus in the next couple of days and pick up your textbook for the next classes you're going to be having. Anytime that the building is open from 8 o'clock till about 4:30 or so. You need to come into the campus and pick up your medical term or excuse me, not medical term, your medical assistant or PCT textbooks. They're ready for you to come in and pick up whenever you can get over here. So you're gonna need to come in and get those so that you can be ready for your next class. So if this is your second module with me, there you go. You need to come on in and pick up your textbook. The good news is that med-term books will be digital from now on.
Mr. Mahone.
Yes.
You
What?
didn't call my name.
Who?
Tatiana.
Yes, you too. Yes. Yeah, poor thing. Yeah, you don't get to be with me next month, poor baby. All right. So anyway, they did tell me just a few minutes ago that the midterm books will be digital from now on. So that one that I sent out, go ahead and download it because that's what everybody's going to be getting from now on. They finally realized that bringing a book back in means bringing in all the stuff that you've been breathing on it and putting on it the whole time you had it. Okay, and we can't clean a book. How you gonna do that? So anyway, textbook for midterm will be digital from now on. I don't know about the other two programs. They're probably not going to because you don't have to turn the book in. It'd be your book.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes. Yes.
Are they gonna, the other teachers who the PCT, are they gonna email us how you've been emailing us and for the Zoom classes or no?
Yes. You'll also, when you come to pick up your textbook, they'll give you the login information for your new teacher.
Okay, thank you.
And the teachers should be contacting you before class on Monday, just like I did at the beginning. Welcome, good to see you all. Welcome to my class. This is how you get in. You should be getting something from them before the end of the weekend. Now, let's say you don't. What if Monday morning you don't know what the login is and you don't know how to get into the class? What do you do?
Call the school.
Call the school and ask to speak with Mr. Oxford. You know, the big white guy, yeah, the one of the deep voice that was in here for orientation, Mr. Oxford is the person you want to talk to. Say, hey, Mr. Oxford, I'm in Mr. I don't know what class I'm in, and I don't have any login info. And he will get you what you need to get into class.
Do we take the book back already, the one that we have?
Let me ask them about that. I don't know yet. All they mentioned to me just a few minutes ago was that the books will be, when I asked them about books, they said, well, your books are going to be electronic from now on. So I don't know if they want y'all to bring those back or not. I will ask them and get back with you tomorrow.
So we just go pick up the book that for our next module.
You don't need to, right? You don't need to yet. You still got another mod with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you'll be doing that in about 3 weeks. So
okay.
If this is your second mod with me, come on in either today or tomorrow, because remember we're closed on Friday, and pick up your textbooks for next week's class.
Okay, sir. So I'm PCT. Am I gonna be with you so I don't have to go get the book to right now? Like, how is that going?
Is that Carissa talking?
Yes.
Okay, no, you've got another 3 weeks with me.
Oh, okay.
All right. So that is the good news as far as I'm concerned, that we don't have to worry about bringing books back and trading out books and all that kind of mess. But even more importantly, now see, I've asked them to do this all along. Being online has nothing to do with this, me asking, because I want you to have the book. I mean, just, it's your book. You can write in it, you can highlight it, you can do all those things in this book now. Beforehand, you couldn't do that. So anyway, it's just a good thing all around. All right, so our sebaceous glands secrete that oily substance called sebum, and that stuff keeps our skin from drying out. And that's why after a shower, if you don't like put on lotion after about 5 to 10 minutes or so, you might start feeling a little itchy. Your skin is dry. You've washed off all of your sebum, and it's going to take a little while before the sebaceous glands catch up. Eventually, that will go away, and you'll be fine again. But you've got to have the sebum on the surface, otherwise your skin would dry out. Now, sometimes our sebaceous glands become blocked. And before we, let's go on and bring up the whiteboard with our hair follicle comes out, and the skin. Some of our sebaceous glands are attached to hair follicles, and the sebum comes out along the hair shaft and onto the surface. Other sebaceous glands attach directly to the surface, and they come right out and the sebum comes right out onto the surface. So we have the two types, attached to a hair follicle or attached to the surface. And that's why you sometimes get pimples with a hair coming right out the middle of it. What a pimple is a sebaceous gland that has become blocked with debris. Dirt and stuff like that from your skin gets in and blocks that gland. When that happens, the gland is going to start to distend because it's going to continue to produce sebum, but it's blocked. And the gland will start to swell up. And that's a a pimple. Okay. And when you squeeze a pimple, that's all this stuff down here shoots out. All right. Now, let me tell you ladies something. Leave our pimples alone. You hear me?
Yeah. For real.
I don't know what it is about y'all. Just come here. Let me get it. It's ready. You mean it's ready? Okay. And popping with nails. I think you do that on purpose. You make it hurt. Because my wife, y'all, she's just like, here, I got it. And just push down with, stop. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave my pimples alone, man. We want pimples, we'll have pimples. Y'all leave our damn pimples alone. Anyway, so pimples and blackheads are pretty much the same thing, except a blackhead will, the stuff in there will oxidize and turn hard. So blackheads come out as solid, where pimples come out as like that juicy stuff. All right. Now, why don't you want to pop pimples? Surface of the skin, sebaceous gland, and pimple.
Won't they leave a scar?
If you pop this out of there, leave an opening right there. You see, the
bacteria,
gland is still there.
bacteria to go in.
The gland is still distended. It's still swollen up like that. So if this thing closes, the skin closes over it, you'll start to collect fluid in there. And what do we call that? A cyst. So pop pimples can lead to cysts. They can also lead to just a pit or crater in the face that won't close. So that's why we don't pop pimples, because they leave either a crater and you have all these openings in your face. Sometimes they're distended big enough you can see them with the eyes. If you look at like the actor Lawrence Fishburne, y'all know who I'm talking about? Black actor, been in a lot of stuff. I'm sure they hate HD because high definition, it shows things that you didn't see when you watch the actual movie. What brings to mind or comes to mind is a movie called Stargate, which was made before HD. And you watch the movie in regular definition, and you won't see this. But if you watch that movie in high definition, at one point they come up over this sand dune and they're looking at this big city that they're just seeing for the first time. They're like, whoa, look at this big city. But they're all wearing mirrored sunglasses. So guess what you can see in the reflection of their glasses? The film crew, the cameras, all those people holding those things. You can see all of that in the reflection in their sunglasses. When they originally edited the film and put it together, you couldn't see that because it was a regular definition. If you watch that movie in high definition, you can see their reflections in their sunglasses. So I'm sure actors hate high definition, man, because it shows everything. The pits in their face, the little stuff stuck in their teeth, all that shows up in HD. All right, so anyway, that's a pimple and a blackhead. Remember, a blackhead oxidizes and the stuff in there will be hard. So blackheads, they don't bubble up like a pimple does. They stay flat to the surface usually. And when you evacuate them, it'll come out as one solid piece. It's oxidized, it's hard in there. The pimples are still juicy, I guess is a word we can use. Squeeze that and they squirt out. All right, so that is blackheads and pimples. And then there it is. Oh, what works for pimples? This stuff called Prid salve. You can buy it at Walgreens or any place that has a pharmacy. My grandmother was big on this stuff, man. She always had a little bit of it in the bathroom. And it shrinks tissue, the same as Preparation H. Yep, the stuff that shrinks up hemorrhoids will shrink up pimples as well. One day, my daughter had a pimple. She was going out, and she was like late teen, and she had a pimple right there. And she's coming downstairs. She's tried on her dress, and she's coming down to show us. And I'm looking at her on the steps, and I'm like, hey. And my wife's poking with me with her elbow, like I'm not supposed to say nothing. I'm like, how can I not say nothing? The girl looked like she got a third eye in the middle of her forehead, man. Go get some preparation H and put it on there. I ain't putting no booty cream on my face. All right, then go with the damn pimple then. About an hour later, she comes down, Daddy, what's that stuff? Oh, now you want the booty cream. So we got her some preparation H. She put it on there, and it dried it up within a couple of hours. And really, you know, it was still a little bit, so she had to just put a little dab of makeup right there, and she was good to go. So anyway, that's preparation H and Prid salve. They both shrink tissues. You know what else they work on? Splinters. Remember, by squeezing the tissue around the splinter, it's going to push the splinter out. So putting preparation H on the splinter or Prid salve on the splinter will push the splinter out. You have to be digging around down in there with a needle. Anybody ever done that before? Digging around down in there trying to get that stupid splinter out of there. Preparation H would have squeezed it right out, no problem. All right, and then that brings us then to the cyst. Cyst is like pimples on steroids, man. They usually start, they might have started as a pimple that closed off, and now underneath there is more and more fluid collecting under there. So you get like a big bump. I told y'all it can happen in the earlobes, but they're commonly on the back and on the back of the thigh is the most common place I've seen them. So medical assistants, get ready. The most common minor surgeries are going to be mole removals and cyst drainage. So let's see a video of a cyst drainage. You poor things. Here we go. Not work. Video. And this video is titled "The World's Biggest Pimple," but it's not. It's a cyst. Y'all see that stuff squirt out of there? All right. Now that's going to happen to you. That fluid under there is under pressure. And when you first pierce this thing, it's going to shoot out like that. And then you have to get all the gunk out of there.
Is that a doctor's office or is that a neighborhood?
That's somebody's house. Okay, so if that kind of bothers your stomach, you'll get over it.
Not that it's scary. It's just the fact that it's huge.
Yeah, it's enormous.
Poor dude. Oh yeah, man, I'd be wearing a mask and goggles and gloves to my elbows.
All right, so that's a good cyst drainage. Now, these people are obviously, at least the lady that was doing it has some medical background, because they asked about, somebody in the background asked, are you going to use any iodoform? What is that? When you have an opening like that, remember what we said, you cannot close that. We've got to pack it with gauze. That's iodoform, the iodoform gauze. And that keeps it from closing while the inside heals. It has to heal from the inside out. They'll come in every day, you'll change the packing. And eventually you won't be able to get another piece of packing in there. And that's when the doctor will walk in and say, yeah, go on and put a suture on that. If they allow you to suture. If not, the doctor will come in and just put one suture and boom, it won't be an issue anymore. So this is not something that can just fill in on its own. We can't that also, the same guy who was the guy who had anesthesia, didn't feel pain, he got stabbed in the chest. So he went right home and sewed it up. Remember, we can't do that. It's got to be packed. Okay. Oh, did you put oregano on there?
I made a rinse.
Did it get better?
Yeah, it's better.
Awesome.
But this all they left that all closed up
Mm.
before I got him to the right emergency room, so
Yeah.
all that's gone.
Yeah.
But,
Cool.
yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
So that is iodoform gauze and what we use that for. Now, you're just lucky now. If we pull a tooth, guess what? It's got to be packed. And packed with what? Iodoform. And this stuff tastes like crap, y'all. I've had it. I had, when they pulled my wisdom teeth, they left what's called dried sockets because I smoked a cigarette and pulled all the blood clots out. And I had dried sockets. So they had to go and stuff iodoform gauze in the sockets of the tooth that they pulled. And man, that stuff tastes horrible in your mouth all day long. So that's iodoform gauze. It's the gauze we use to pack it. That stuff comes in small strips or big old long strips for people who have organs removed. If you have a kidney taken out, remember there's going to be a space right there where that kidney was. We got to get that to close up. We can't just sew it shut. So they're going to be packing it with gauze while it closes. The most interesting one I ever did was a guy who had a lung removed. And we had to pack that entire lung space with gauze while it healed from the inside out. So that's what we do for pimples, or excuse me, cysts. Drain it, pack it, let it heal from the inside out. All right. And that completes the structures in our dermis. Really quick, they were nails, wait a minute, nails, sweat glands, hair follicles, and nerve endings. And sebaceous glands. Let me get that. All right. Now the next layer down from the dermis is the subcutaneous, and it's chiefly comprised of fat cells. And there's your test question right there. Which layer of the skin is chiefly comprised of fat cells? The subcutaneous, also called the hypodermis. This is the fat that helps protect us. When babies are born, that's why they look so puffy. They have a lot of subcutaneous fat. They need that when they're born, so when they fall, they bounce. Not like us. You ever seen grown people fall down? Man, that's the funniest thing ever, watching a grown person fall. I can't help but laugh. I'm sorry. One day we were coming out of the movie The Color Purple. Has anybody seen that movie, The Color Purple? Horribly way that man treated that woman and . And my wife internalizes that stuff. In other words, when she see a black man mistreating a woman on the movie, she always looks over at me like, see, that's how y'all are. So I didn't know what the movie was about. They didn't advertise very much about it, but it was a Spielberg movie. So I'm like, well, it must be a good movie then. So you need to take me to see this movie. So we go see The Color Purple. And you can just see her in the theater. Just getting madder and madder at me. I hated Danny Glover. I hated Danny Glover for making that movie, man. So anyway, here we are after the movie. Now we're walking out to the car. And she's got an attitude. Because that's how y'all are. She got her purse hanging over her shoulder. And she's walking between the cars. And she's walking with such determination. And her purse gets caught on the rearview mirror of one of the cars, the side mirror of one of the cars. Okay? And it was like the Roadrunner cartoon. You ever see when the Roadrunner goes off the cliff and hangs there for a second, or the coyote, and then hangs there for a second and then falls? I swear that's how it was, y'all. She was almost parallel to the ground before she fell. Funniest thing I ever seen in my life. So anyway, I'm trying to help her up and stuff. She's like, you leave me alone because you laughing at me. Yeah, I'm laughing at you. I'm helping you get up, but I'm laughing at you too, because that's what you get for your attitude. One night, we went downtown for our anniversary, and it was a cold night. Our anniversary is in February, and she wants to wear her heels. I'm like, babe, we're gonna be walking around. That's okay. I'm wearing my heels. We get down. And you know them grates in the sidewalk? Oh yeah. Right down into that grate, man. And she started falling. I mean, my wife went down, y'all. You can see patties and everything. I'm like, babe, come on. So I'm helping her get up. I'm kind of giggling. You laughing at me. I'm like, babe, you know, it was kind of fun. You got to admit. So anyway, we had to go down to one of those shops and buy her some little flip-flop shoes that she could walk around in and get out to high heels. So anyway, that's why it hurts for us to fall, y'all. We just don't have a lot of subcutaneous fat like babies do. All right. So anyway, the subcutaneous layer is comprised chiefly of fat cells. All right. Now, those are the structures. So let's talk about one of the most dramatic damage to the skin is the burn. And like I said earlier, you see somebody with a good burn, you have to look. I mean, again, you try not to, but you can't help yourself. Now, burns can be caused by heat, chemicals, electricity. And electrical burns are the worst burns you'll ever see in somebody. And burns are classified by how deep the burn goes into the tissue and how much surface area they actually burn, how much of the skin has been burned. So how deep and how big the burn is. And we're going to classify the depth using degrees. First, second, third, and fourth degree. I know most of y'all may have even heard of the fourth degree burn. It's relatively new. So the first degree burn is right on the surface. We call that a sunburn. Got a little bit of a sunburn, poor thing, or, you know, hot water on the hand or something like that. We call it a first degree burn. We know it's second degree when blisters occur. Remember when the epidermis pulls away from the dermis? That's a blister. When you burn enough that the epidermis pulls away, that's called a second degree burn. So note for your assessment that second degree burns are classified by blisters. As soon as we see blisters, we know it's second degree. And some people will lay out in the sun until they get a second degree sunburn. I'm like, really? How dumb were you? Yeah. The third degree burn is what we call full thickness. You burn through the entire layer, all three layers of the skin. Now, when that happens to you, remember you're going to burn the nerve endings as well. So the third degree part usually doesn't hurt, but you can't have a third degree without having second and first degree around it. So those are the parts that hurt. The black spot in the middle, the nerve endings have been damaged in there. So you won't feel that area, but it'll be an intense pain, but you won't feel that area right there. So know in your notes that fourth degree burn is a full thickness burn. It's burned through all three layers of the skin. And then fourth degree, you burn now. Remember that first, second, and third only related to the skin. You got a third, it's all the way through the skin. A fourth degree burn burns the muscles, organs, or bones below. And in order to get a fourth degree burn, that's usually acid or electricity that does that. All right, so that's how we classify burns by depth, first, second, third, or fourth degree. And you're going to be hard pressed to survive a fourth degree burn. And that's probably why most people don't pay attention to it. Now we're going to classify the surface area by percentage. You may have heard that somebody burned 10% of their body. Where do we get those percentages? It's called the rule of nines. And 30% is an example. But it's called the rule of nines. And we'll go to the whiteboard to illustrate that. The human body has been separated into areas of 9 or multiples of 9. 9, 18, 36. And the head represents 9% of your skin. So you see that this is not an estimation of their survival. I've seen people die from a 9% burn. And I've seen somebody who survived a 99% burn. Yeah, I met that guy. He was sitting in his car on military right under 151. And a fuel truck came off the bridge and down and crashed right in front of his car and washed his car in gasoline. And he caught on fire. I was talking about that in class one day here at Quest. I was talking about that in class. And the student in the back row raised her hand and said, "Miss Mahone, that's my uncle." I was like, "Really?" She talked about it for a few minutes and we moved on in class. But then he came to school with her the next day just to talk to us. and talked about his recovery and all that. And yeah, he was burned pretty bad. So 9% represents the head. And y'all know about putting lighter fluid on an existing fire? You know what I'm talking about? You got the barbecue pit going and you want to get the fire hotter, so you put lighter fluid on an existing fire and you get
Yeah,
that
don't do
flare up.
that.
You get that flare up into your face. Guys, if you happen to be breathing in when that happens, that can kill you. Burn all your alveoli. So don't be messing around with that lighter fluid. So 9% burn for the head. The trunk of the body gets you 18 for the front and 18 for the back, for a total of 36%. I said there are multiples of 9, 18, 36. So 18 for the front, 18 for the back, totaling 36% for the trunk. Each arm is 9%, and each leg is 18%. Now, if you add all that up right now, it'll come up to 99. There's 1% left. That's the growing area. So that guy that was in that car, he burned everything except for the part he was sitting on. Everything else ignited. So that is the rule of nines. Now, some textbooks are going to get carried away with this. From the elbow down is 4.5 and that type of stuff. We don't need to go that deep. 9 is easy enough to remember for us. If the doctor wants to do that in their office, sure. The doctor said you burn from your elbow down to the fingertip, we're going to call that 4.5%. So leave it up to the doctor to break that down any further than this. This is what makes it easy to remember. 9, 9, 9, 36, 18, 18, and 1. So those are the percentages. And the most important thing to remember is that percentage does not estimate the survivability. You can burn 99% and survive. So those are our burns. These other couple slides, we do need to move on in the interest of finishing in time. Let's look at scabies. These are itch mites. They burrow their head into your skin. That causes the basophils to start to release histamine in that area, and you're going to start to itch right there. That's what they call itch mites. Y'all, if you've ever seen mites under a microscope, let me just say that they are sometimes used as, I saw at least one movie where they were used as monsters in the movie. They just took itch mites and blew the picture up real big, and that was the monster in the movie. They look kind of like cockroaches. Oh, really? What happened to the cool pictures? I hate Bing. I really do. See what happened to all these pictures right here? If I click on images, these pictures, it comes up with all these different.
Oh, yeah.
That looks like the movie Critters or
Yeah.
Tremors or something, right?
Yeah.
I swear they got the monster for Tremors off of
Tremors.
a
Off
blown
of our
up
skin,
book one.
yeah. So these are mites, and itch mites, they burrow into your skin. Now, these things are always on us. This is a really good example of them eating your dead skin cells. They're always there. You can't wash them off, and it's a parasitic thing for us, or excuse me, a symbiotic thing for us. We help to keep our skin healthy and clean by getting all those dead cells off of us. But they're always there. The itch mites or scabies are the ones that burrow their head in, and that causes the itch. All right. So those are itch mites.
Oh, okay.
We have lotions and soaps that will take care of those for you. Lice. Lice appear along the hair shaft. When you have lice, it's really easy to get rid of the lice. They'll wash out. You can comb them out. But what they do is they stick their eggs to the hair shaft. Those are known as nits. Or no, there's no K in there. Nits. Now, those are hard to get rid of. You're going to need a special shampoo. The one that I'm used to using is called, not for myself, but for my patients, is called Quell shampoo. And it gets the the nits off of there. But the lice can come out really easily. And once you do, I'm going to talk to you about washing the linen and all that kind of stuff because they come back very easily as well. Now, you cannot look at somebody if they bring their kid in for the third time with lice. You can't look at them and say that, oh, y'all are just bad parents, you got a dirty home, because lice are so easy to get from somebody else. This kid could be sitting on the bus next to somebody going to school every day. Excuse me. So try not to be judgmental like that. Just because a kid has repeated instances of lice, it doesn't mean they're getting it from home. Could be getting it from their best friend.
I used to get them from school a lot.
Yeah.
Because I was the only child. You know what I mean? So I couldn't get it from a sibling.
Yeah.
So I would get them from the school a lot.
Especially if you're on the football team, something like that, down there in that locker room and so on. And actually, you can see people combing their hair, and you can see the lice coming out as they're combing their hair. Lice you can see with your eyes. They're not that small. So that's Quell shampoo, and then they're going to talk to you about cleaning the linen, maybe even replacing the mattress and pillows if you think it's coming from your home. Next condition about the skin we want to talk about is psoriasis. Psoriasis is autoimmune. In other words, their skin cells, their immune system are attacking their own skin and causing lice to appear, or excuse me, causing psoriasis. Let's look at an image of psoriasis briefly. You've seen it before, so let's make sure you know that that's exactly what you've been seeing. This stuff right there. Scaly patches that appear. They look contagious, but remember, it's a skin condition, not an immune condition. So, or it's an immune condition, not a skin condition, excuse me. So this is not something you're going to catch from this person. But it's on the hands, and it can start to affect the joints as well, and the person end up with psoriatic arthritis. And you see it appearing on the hand right there. Now imagine if you're at a buffet and you're reaching for food and other people are looking at you like, what is that on your hands? And are you getting that into the food? So that's psoriasis. It's autoimmune. The only way to stop it is to turn off their immune system. And y'all know the type of state that that's going to put them in. We call it immunocompromised. And there's psoriatic arthritis happening because of their psoriasis. Malignant melanomas. These are the dangerous moles. What makes a mole dangerous? First of all, cancer doesn't grow in circles. Cancer grows by invading the cells next to it. So if your mole is round, you probably don't have an issue with it. What we're looking for are moles, and see the A, B, C, D of melanomas. The first thing we're looking at is symmetry. Symmetry means that if you take something and you visually cut it in half, the two sides look real similar to each other. They are symmetrical. Asymmetry means that they don't match. An asymmetrical mole would be one like cut that thing in half, the two sides look nothing like each other. It's asymmetrical. So those are the moles that are dangerous to us. The second thing is that the border, you'll see that in the mole, the border is fine around it, but then at some parts, the border tends to disappear and go right into skin. If the border is not sharp all the way around, we need to look at that one. Color. Is the mole the same color all the way through? Or does it have 2 or 3 colors? And then diameter. Is it bigger than, I think your textbook has 1 centimeter. It's different in different books. So the test question here would be that the ABCDs of melanoma, the D stands for diameter. And let's find a mole to show all that. Here's a good one. at that mole. Now, first of all, is that mole symmetrical? If you cut it in half, do the two sides look alike? No. Do you see more than one color in here?
Yes.
Does the border seem to disappear in this area? You can
Yes.
still visualize it, but it's not raised and sharp, solid like this one. So it just kind of disappears right. Oh, stop that. It just kind of disappears right there. Okay. And then diameter. That thing is bigger than 1 centimeter. That's the mole that's dangerous. So almost everybody has a mole on their body somewhere. I check mine all the time. It's right back here on the back of my arm. I check it all the time. Is it changing at all? But remember that these are going to be more common in Caucasian people. But I'm still going to check mine because my mom's Caucasian. So anyway, that is a malignant melanoma and the ABCDs of a melanoma. Asymmetry, border, color, and diameter. All right. And oh, by the way, this term over here, malignant versus benign. Malignant is the dangerous. Remember, mal means bad. Malignant. Anytime you see mal as part of something, malfunction, malignant, anytime mal is in there, it's bad. And benign is how that's pronounced, means not cancerous. So when you're hearing about your cancer, you want to hear the word benign, or a tumor, you want to hear the word benign. Remember that all cancers are tumors, but not all tumors are cancers. You can have a benign tumor. It's not cancerous. So that's the word you want to hear when the doctor's talking about your tumor. It's benign. And that's the first thing I wanted to hear out the doctor's mouth when they say you have a tumor on your kidney. Really? It's benign. Oh, hell yeah. Let's just get that thing off there. All right. So that is the malignant melanoma and the ABCDs of melanoma. 2 words that I need y'all to know are a couple words. The first one is a laceration, a cut of the skin. We need to sew those up, or many of them, not all of them. These are the 2 you should know. Edema is swelling caused by fluid. What's the difference? When you see a swelling on somebody, either their arm is swollen like that because the tissue is swollen, or it's swollen like that because it's filled with fluid. If it's filled with fluid, we call that edema. So edema, swelling caused by fluid underneath the skin. And then erythema. Erythro is red. So what is erythema? Reddish discoloration of the skin. Now you go in and see your dermatologist and you say, hey doc, what's this? And your skin is red. And the doc's gonna look at you and go, I don't know, what is it? You know how many things out there cause red skin? The list goes on and on. So you walk in and point to us red skin. We're gonna say, what have you been doing? In dermatology, there's a general saying in dermatology. If it's dry, wet it. If it's wet, dry it. And if it's a fungus, they'll come back. So there are just so many things that happen to people's skin. The doctor can't sit there and tell you what it is. We'll play 100 questions with you. Have you changed laundry soaps? Have you started using a new lotion or anything? We'll just go all through all these different things. And eventually what it boils down to is if it's dry, wet it. If it's wet, dry it. And if it's a fungus, they'll come back. All right. So those are a couple of terms that you'll see on your assessment. Edema and erythema. Know the difference and know the 2. And then the homework pages, I think I gave them to y'all yesterday, 323 and 324. I'll be doing just a minute. Okay. 323 and 324 for the homework. All right, so that brings us to the end of the skin. Tomorrow we'll be doing the reproductive systems. That'll always be fun. I get to draw the penis on the whiteboard. Hey, oh, yay! That's my favorite body part. So anyway, if there are any questions, ask them now before we close out the class. But let me run through this list real quick. Did Mercedes show up? Danielle Lopez? Yvonne Moreno? Amber Rubalcaba? Or Maricela Lopez? Okay, then the attendance stands the way it is. All right, so tonight, guys, get on that homework. Remember, I'm going to give you till Friday to get it done, but y'all do need to get that done. And I'm going to, right now, as soon as we're finished, I'm going to email it. Matter of fact, let's do it while y'all are looking. I'm going to go on and email out the test. Remember, do a paper copy of this, take a picture of it, and send it back to me. I don't have the Derm and Repro done up in Quizzes yet. So let me go on and send it to you. I'm going to cut and paste it in there. Remember, we're not doing the reproduction till tomorrow, but y'all can go on and start working on this tonight. I'll send the review along with it. Did I send the Dermo and Repro review yet? Yes, no, maybe.
Not yet.
No.
Now, this is just going to be a matter of going through the motions here, guys, because the review is going to be typed right into the same email with the test. Open the review, fill out the answers to the test, take a picture, and send it back. Y'all need to get 100 on this one. Okay, and that's going to help some of the grades out there. So let's go on and attach. Well, I'm not going to attach it. I'm going to cut and paste it. Well, I will attach the review. And then I'll cut and paste the test in there because sometimes people have difficulty opening tests. We'll go to desktop. Where's my resources? There it is, right there. It's already highlighted. Work 2. I'm looking for, there's reproduction right there. Is it in there? Reproduction review, reproduction in dermatology. That's the test. So it's going to be 2 reviews. I'll attach this one, the reproduction review. Only 5 questions in that one. And then I'll attach the dermatology review. Dermo, label is skin. Skin review. And then I'm going to cut and paste the test into there. So bring that up. Under skin. Should be in both. Dermatology. And I want you to see this cut and paste because some strange things are going to happen with the test answers, and I don't know why it does that when you cut and paste it. And we do need to talk about that a minute so that you'll know what to do. Really? I thought I was cutting and pasting it in there. I guess maybe I'm not. Or does it take that long? Yeah, it's working on it. There it is. All right. So you see what happened here when I cut and pasted? The answers changed from A, B, C, D to 1, 2, 3, 4. Write down exactly what's there, but it didn't do it with all of them. Well, yes, it did. So just write down what appears exactly there. The site of fertilization is 1. Number 1 is 3. Number 2 is answer is outside the inside is 2. So on and so on. So number 1 is 3. Number 2 is 2. Number 3 is ... So instead of A, B, C, D, just put the number there. Had somebody got hung up on that. Well, Ms. Mo, what do you put there? We'll put the number that's next to the right answer. All right, so in this email is your reproduction review, your skin review, and then your test pasted in there. And send me back, number 1 is this, number 2 is that, number 3 is this, and so on. So that is sent. All right, so if there are no questions then, We're going to go on and end class today. Any questions before we do that?
No, sir.
All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow at 8 o'clock.
Y'all have a good day.